Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones. And in this segment, I'm going to talk about something that is not unique to psychology, but it is necessary. It's necessary because we have a number of people who have it. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about cognitive dissonance. Now, when we deal with cognitive dissonance, we're basically talking about an individual that has beliefs in two contradicting, or I don't want to use the word contradictory or contradiction. I want to use the word conflicting. Let me share my screen and tell you how I'm going to do this here. I'm going to talk about cognitive dissonance right now. And by the way, I'm pretty new with this, so you got to excuse me, um, because this is very different than basically doing this all along by myself on regular YouTube. So what I'm going to do with this broadcast is run a little test. And well, I see some people already in the chat. Hey, salute survival, salute face to face, salute Celine. Welcome. This is the first time I'm doing this, so you're gonna have to bear with me while I go along with it. I'm used to using Zoom, so again, let me try to share the screen so I can talk about cognitive dissonance. Just bear with me. Um, Cognitive dissonance is something that I hear enough of us talk about here on YouTube. And when it comes to any type of mental issue, there's going to be some problems. And a lot of the problems is that we don't understand the symptoms. We don't understand the programming. We don't even understand if we have a problem. And I know I listen to a lot of information in these YouTube spaces. And what I find out is that there are a lot of us that have problems. Now, problems come in different forms. But when you have contradictory beliefs, that's a big problem of its own. And why do I say that? I say that because even me as a YouTuber, problems come in different types of forms. Like, okay, this is my first time using StreamYard, so it's going to take a little practice. As you know, I don't have all the bells and whistles yet, and I still have to learn how to share my screen. But I will learn how to share my screen because it's very important. I'm going to try to share it right now. And if I can, I got to go to my Chrome tab. And here I go. I might have it this time. Cognitive dissonance. As you can see, what we talk about in the term of cognitive dissonance is we basically deal with a mental disorder or a term that's used to describe mental discomfort that results in holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. Why? Because people tend to seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions. So this conflict causes feelings of unease and discomfort. Now, the inconsistency between what two people believe and how they behave motivates people to engage in actions that will help minimize feelings of discomfort. Now, people attempt to basically relieve this tension in different ways, such as by rejecting, explaining away, or avoiding new information. Now, how do you know? Well, everyone experiences cognitive dissonance to some degree, but that doesn't mean that it is always easy to recognize. Some signs that what you are feeling might be related to dissonance include feeling uncomfortable before doing something or making a decision, trying to justify or rationalize a decision that you've made or an action you have taken, feeling embarrassed or ashamed about something you've done and you're trying to hide something because you're going to get reactions from other people or you're trying to hide actions from other people, doing things because of social pressure, fear of missing out. Now, there are causes. There are a number of different situations that can create conflicts that lead to cognitive dissonance, like forced compliance. Because sometimes you might find yourself engaging in behaviors that are opposed to your own beliefs due to external expectations, often for work, school, or social situation. Now, again, cognitive dissonance. I always look at it like this. Most of us do have it. I've even had it on one occasion or another because sometimes you don't recognize the two conflicting views. And now here's something else that we have to understand as well. You have to realize that you're human. And thank you, Survival. Uh, I agree. There is a learning curve with this StreamYard. So you'll have to help me through it. And shout out to the chat. This is the first time I'm going live, and I'm going to give you better content in the future. Hey, Antisocial Socialite Podcast. Welcome to my first live stream. Just work with me, and I'll get through it as diligently as I can. I'm talking about cognitive dissonance, and I'm just going to throw some other topics in it as well because, I come on YouTube every week. I've been a YouTuber for basically 5 years. And some of this information that you're hearing, you can go back to my older videos that I made back in 2017. And I've actually talked about cognitive dissonance because, for the most part, you got to look at behaviors of human beings. And one thing you have to understand about a human being is we're all animals. We are. And shout out to SKC and one of his live streams that he did. It's not up, but I saw it. And again, shout out to the chat. But again, what I'm doing is just giving you an overview of cognitive dissonance from a psychological perspective. And if you all understand psychology, you should understand that psychology basically deals with what we call human behavior or behavior. And it's very important that you understand behavior. And the question is, why do we all have cognitive dissonance? Do we all know we have cognitive dissonance? And then how can we solve it? Well, I am not a psychologist, so I'm just going to tell you this. The way I can solve cognitive dissonance is number one, be aware of the subject matter. Pay very close attention because there are some individuals that are going to come from one direction, they're going to come from another direction. And what they're going to do, they are going to try to throw everything at you to get you in a conundrum. And the worst thing that will happen when you get in a conundrum is that you will be nervous. Now, again, that's another topic, nervousness, because I was nervous at first when I first got up here, but now I'm settling into it. And don't get me wrong, I need a little work, but at the end of the day, you know, my job here is to continue to inform you all on what's going on in these YouTube streets from a psychological perspective. And again, let me share my screen again while I do more on cognitive dissonance here. Just bear with me. Here we go. Okay. Just wait one moment while I get into it. All right. Well, you see me right up here. You see me right up here on the screen. And yes, survival, that's true. Young people are indoctrinated with Marxism. And you know, Marxism is something that a lot of us don't even know about. But Marxism is also part of the cognitive dissonance because many young people, and I'm going to say old people as well, we're all taught by influences from other people or other things, like Solinsky. If you ever heard of Solinsky, he comes from the left wing perspective, and what he's trying to do, he's trying to nudge everybody to think left wing. And at the end of the day, that just won't work with some of us because if you understand what's going on from the left, and I'm talking about politically right now, you can navigate yourself through a belief of number one, you could say you're a patriot because you're not influenced by the left wing's influence of Marxism. And number two, now we talk about racism in this country. Well, if you deal with racism, you deal with sexual orientation. Another term for Marxism would be multiculturalism, and that's what you see because when it comes to psychology as well, we're dealing with issues that sometimes offend people, like when we tell them the truth. And a lot of people can't deal with the truth. And I tell you this, it's better to deal with the truth than not deal with the truth because you're not going to be surprised about what's being said or what's not being said. But what I really want to get into as well while I'm here on YouTube, and I'll do more of these live streams. And a salute, trailer head. Welcome to the chat. You may have to give me a little bit of refining with StreamYard here. It's the first day I'm doing it. So I'm going to travel on, see how I like it. And I'm talking about cognitive dissonance along with other topics. So this is more or less a test video. And when you deal with Marxism, when you deal with communism, let me stay back on that, go back on that. You're basically dealing with something that is tyranny. And in this country, we have a lot of tyranny that's going on. The problem with tyranny is you have a number of people who fall into the tyrannical mindset because they're probably scared, they're probably unaware. For the most part, many of them are uneducated. And part of what's going on too when it comes to cognitive dissonance is you got to look at the education system. You got to look at the media because in the long run, you're not really getting the best outcomes with the media, especially if it doesn't serve you as an individual. And again, when you look up sources, you should go to more than one source. And being on other panels, and shout out to brother Little Big Nate, and shout out to TPOT. I was watching that debate the other day on Saturday, and it was D. Durrell and it was Little Big Nate. Now, of course, it got heated. And of course, it's going to get heated because you had individuals that had different views. And when it comes to the black community, I don't know why individuals think we have to have a monolithic mindset because we are not monolithic. And let me tell you this, and I've been on that side myself, been called a coon, and I don't even care about the word coon because the person that calls me a coon is the real coon because my issue is when we look at numbers, and this is what bothers me most. We will throw out numbers and we have no idea what those numbers mean. I'm going to tell you this, numbers mean a lot if you know how to extrapolate data. And hello, Mahogany. Welcome to my first chat. Sit back and enjoy yourself. A little nervous, but I'm just going to keep on rocking on the way I do it. But again, let me talk about statistics. I mean, there are a lot of them that are going around. Of course, most of us blacks use black demographics. Most of us use the CDC. Now, here's how you do statistics. You have to ask the who, what, when, how, why, and where. Anybody can call out a number. I know as a civil engineer, I have to know what every number means. And what I'm giving you from my perspective is we can cut out the debates with trying to make ourselves right, thinking that we have the right number. You may have the right number, but if you don't understand that number, at the end of the day, you're not going to understand where you're going with that number. And I see a lot of debates here on Black YouTube. It's nothing wrong with getting heated, but the emotionalism can be a bit much for me. And that also comes from individuals. And I'm just going to throw some more psychology into the mix. Individuals with anger issues. You have individuals that don't know how to debate. Now, again, that's not everybody here, but it's a number of us here. And if you're going to talk about something, understand the subject matter, do a little bit of reading, make sure that your sources are credible. Many of us can spit out a source, we can quote a sentence, but you have to find out where did this person who wrote the book get their sources from. And when it comes to data, how do you extrapolate the data? Can you test the data? Is the data relative? This is the big question. You cannot assess something on irrelevant data. Irrelevant data, for the most part, is going to hurt the accuracy of your numbers. Now, again, you deal with statistics, you deal with mean, mode, you deal with standard deviation. And because I have had advanced calculus, I can throw Poisson's ratio in it. Some of you might not know what that is. I can throw combinations in it. I can throw permeation in there. But I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm trying to get to is a lot of us talk about cognitive dissonance, and I do see a lot of that here on YouTube. And sometimes you will get it and you don't even know you have it. I mean, I can look at issues that I've had and I said, wow, I didn't realize they were two conflicting issues. And I really don't believe in these issues, but I'm trying to be right. Let me tell you something. I want everybody to sit back for a moment, just strip away that ego, strip away all your emotions, and be logical. If you're logical and if you're calm, cool, and collective, you're not going to enhance yourself to any stress. You know, as I would say in psychology, a number one killer is stress. And a lot of us don't know that, particularly if you are African American. We have, but everybody has stress. But if you let stress get to you, it's going to kill you. And at the end of the day, I don't let it get to me. But there have been times, and I'm going to be transparent, that I've gotten angry. I've gotten angry over what individuals said. Now this was in the past, and that's good. I wonder how often many people use cognitive dissonance to really understand what it really means. That's a good point, Trailer Hood. A number of people really don't know what it means. A number of people don't even know they have it. Survival says, I'm always funny to look back when I was in my 20s thinking I had it all figured out. You know what? Bingo. I thought the same way. And you know what? When we think we have it all figured out, we don't have it figured out. Why? Because there's so much to learn. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is what happened to me today. I was taking the test. And, I went into it cold. And this is an example of you think you have it figured out. Well, a lot of us get overconfident by thinking we have everything figured out. And when that result comes, you really didn't have it figured out. You basically went through it blindly without understanding the material. And that's what happened to me today. I understood some material, but went in it cold. Now, I didn't get the best grade on it, but what I learned today is I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to know everything. And what I see in a lot of people, we allow ego to get to us. I mean, we all, particularly as guys, a lot of us have egos. A lot of us are very competitive. But the problem with having an ego is you can also be irrational with that ego. Egos don't mean anything. What means something is if you produce by actions. And that's why psychology plays its way into our lives. And you don't have to be a psychology major. Like I said, I am not a psychology major. I'm a civil engineer. However, I've had to take courses on psychology because wherever you go, you're going to have to deal with people. You're going to have to also deal with different behaviors. Let's talk about the workforce. The workforce is where you have a lot of individuals. And the more individuals you have in the workforce, and if you're in a management position, the more people you're going to deal with. And guess what happens? You're going to deal with different personalities. And part of dealing with different personalities is you're not going to know every personality. Heck, you don't even know yourself sometimes. But it is a learning experience. And one thing that I will say is many of us have different views. And I want to talk about this too, because this is all going to tie in. It is nothing wrong with having different views. But here is what gets my goat here. If you express your view and you can't back it up and it's all emotion, I'm going to discredit that view. And why am I going to discredit it? Because either you didn't take time to get into the subject matter, or you took pieces of the subject matter to try to make your point right. You're not going to be right all the time. That's the first thing you need to know. And here on my channel, and I'm pretty strict with my channel, I like to have maturity on my channel. There are other channels out there. If you want to have all that drama, that's fine. But here on the 401 Talk Zone radio show, no, I can't deal with that. I'm 56 years old. I like to have people who are going to be in the chat, because while I'm doing these lives, I might even put out a topic and I want to see what everybody knows about it. And then we can talk about it when I converse with the chat, because I'm going to show my face here on camera. But when it comes, and that's right, Trailer Hood, a lot of times ego stifles the ability of real learning simply because your ego prevents you from stepping away from your core beliefs and listening to challenging ideas. That is very, very, that's right. I like peace as well. And here on my channel, you're going to get a lot of peace, because one thing I learned about being in these YouTube streets is, and I'm going to say this, and nobody else has really said this, you have to pick like-minded people. And what I mean by like-minded people, you got to pick individuals that aren't toxic. And wherever you go in the real world, you're going to have toxic people. But when you come to my channel, you don't have to worry about toxicity. In fact, I'm going to work on doing panels. I got the free version of StreamYard where I can have 6 up, but I'm going to work on camming up, doing this by myself, getting used to it. And anybody who has some good suggestions with this StreamYard, put it in the chat. Because like I said, this is brand new. Show me how to share material, because I do like to share my material with you all. I know how to use Zoom, but StreamYard is still brand new to me. And I actually got talked into doing this by Little Big Nate too. He said he was going to help me with it. I got talked into it. I said I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna continue to learn it. Thanks, Survival. Let me try it out. He said to highlight it, just click on it. All right, Survival says to highlight a comment, you click on it. Thank you very much. Keep giving me all the necessary cues so I can get by this live stream, because I'm gonna go as long as I can go. And that's true. The best advice from Mahogany is not to pay attention to the numbers. That is true. And I like numbers, but I'm only going to give you numbers if I understand them here. Okay, I'm not going to let my ego show because I got degrees all over the place, and I got more degrees than a thermometer. However, guess what? I'm a human being. And when I start something brand new too, you want to get it right the first time. You're not going to get it right the first time. I don't have this right the first time, but at the end of the day, I'm going to get better at it. And Antisocial Socialite Podcast, at the bottom it says share, and it gives you the option on how to share a window on the same browser that the StreamYard is open in. Yeah, I have to get more into that Antisocial Socialite. I tried that. It did not work for me for some reason. But at the end of the day, it's going to take practice, because I tried sharing something, and for some reason, I'm in Google Chrome, it didn't come up for me the way I would like it like I do in Zoom, and I love Zoom, but since everybody else is using StreamYards, I thought I'd give it a shot. And as I get used to it, I get comfortable. And again, this is going to be funny. I started off doing cognitive dissonance. I'm just going to probably go ahead and say, okay, this was a freestyle video, and it should have been a freestyle video. I already know my folks who are in the chat. This is a good comment too. Trailerhood. I know folks that are college educated. Yes, still dumber than a box of rocks. That's one that I do agree with very, very much. Because, see, the thing about education is education, depending on where you go, is actually indoctrination. And many of these colleges and universities are basically giving you a Marxist type of education. And you know, and shout out to you, Trailer Hood. You showed that video yesterday on that, I call it pedophilia. And, you know, that had me thinking. And I saw what was actually done and how dirty some of these individuals are. And that's something that we definitely need to call out because there is a lot of child trafficking going on. If you find that your child is missing, it could be down there with some of these heathens out here. You got a lot of people who are demons. They want to corrupt children. They want to get children into the alternative lifestyles. They want children to hate their parents. Why do they want to get into the children? Well, they want to get into the children because children are defenseless. They don't know any better. So the best thing to do is always, I would say this playing sports, I always go to the rookie because the rookie is dumber than the box of rocks because he or she doesn't know any better. And that's what they're doing with our children. It is very, very demonic. And Brother Trailer Hood, you're going to teach me how to put videos up here on StreamYard. In fact, I had to give you my email so you can help me with this since you live here in Indiana with me. Yes, Celine is right. Children are unstable, but the question is, why are children unstable? Now, I have my point of view on why children are unstable, but there are lots of other views. Now, from my point of view, children come from even decent homes. If you spoil a child too much, they're going to be ungrateful. If a child comes from a bad background, they're also going to be unstable. So you see, there is a balance to everything here. Sometimes, you know, if you look at issues from a logical standpoint, you can find common ground. You ever heard of that old saying, there are three sides, your side, my side, and the truth? Well, logically speaking, the reason why there are two sides is because, well, three sides is because the other two sides are always trying to avoid the truth because they want to impress their judge and jury with their point of view, thinking it's right. Celine says, I think children are naturally born foolish, and it's the parents' responsibility to get the foolishness out of them. True. But what about the parents? You have a number of parents who are basically children themselves. In fact, some of these kids that are born today, for the most part, they were born out of irresponsible sex. They were born from individuals who were poor. They were also born from uneducated individuals. And most of all, they were born from individuals who really don't want to be with each other because at the end of the day, the individuals who are going to be our next leader are whom they're going to be the children. And at the end of the day, it is our job to get children straight. But when you have the school system, you have the Marxist left out here, you have social media, you have a lot of other entities out here like mainstream media. And what they're doing, they're basically feeding children a lot of information that they cannot absorb. They have no idea. They may tell you they have an idea, but at the end of the day, they really don't have an idea of what's going on. And because they don't have an idea of what's going on, children are going to come up very disrespectful. And this is just my opinion. Sometimes we do too much for children, and as a parent, and if you have children out there, I'm just going to say that put a one in the chat if you all have children. Put a one in the chat. And if you're a parent, answer this. Riddle me this, Batman. What have you done to help your children become better citizens? What kind of discipline do you feed your children? Or how do you discipline your kids? Because for the most part, I've heard different views on capital punishment or corporal punishment. What do you really think about corporal punishment? Now, as a Gen Xer, I got that belt, I got that switch. It hurt, believe it or not. I got punished. What did that do? Well, to me, I don't believe I was abused. I was just being corrected. Now, the funny thing about it, when I was in the military, now I joined the military 1988, 1989. And the difference between the military then and now, I went in there, they were still allowed to hit you. And I had a smart mouth when I went in there. I did. I did. Now, I see that in some terms, spank spanking it doesn't work if you're going to brutalize the kid, but you give him that belt right, and you take something away from him. See, what you have to do, you have to start early with kids. Now, all my kids are grown, and that is true. Trailer hood, it's necessary, but only should be done in the act of love and kindness, as weird as it sounds, and not out of anger and frustration. Good point. An anti-socialist said, I know that spanking really doesn't work, especially if you don't get caught. Now, yeah, here in America, you got children that love to dial that 911. You're gonna have to give the children something. You can't just let them go through life thinking that they're going to get a free ride. Now, for me, here's what I believe. Make them do extra chores. Make them do extra exercises. Being in the military, um, I think the military gives you the best discipline if you're allowed to give that discipline. And that's true. Spanking should be the last resort, not the first. But what should be the first? What should be first? Explain to me what should be first, antisocial socialite. Tell me what should be first. Because can you really talk to a child today? Do you really think children, with all this social media, all this education, and I call it dumb education, all this religion, do you think that's actually going to help children with a smart mouth? I mean, sometimes giving a good smack in the mouth is that's that's going to straighten them right up. You can't reason with a child. That's true in some cases, depending on the child, but that's true. I believe it's better to take away any privileges and promote a desire to want the carrot, not the stick. Yeah, in a theoretical way, I can say, yeah, in a theoretical, but here's the problem. You got too many parents who give children way too much. And I'm going to tell you why they give the children a lot, because they don't want to deal with the children. And I'm talking about two-parent households, because at the end, you got these parents out here, for the most part, do they love their children? I'm not saying they don't love their children. Um, they they I'm not saying they don't love their children, they do, but I think they spoil their children. Um, got to ask you all this. Somebody tell me how you actually drop the link to this. I don't know how to do it yet at all. What do you got to do? Like I said, I'm brand new with this StreamYards. Um, I know there's got to be a way to do it. Um, somebody, somebody show me how to do it. I'll drop a link. I mean, I'd love to get up here. The invite button. Where is that right up here? Because I don't even. Oh, I have it. I got it. I got it. Okay, let me put it in the chat. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and drop the link. All right, I dropped the link. Come on up here and let's ride it out. Help me ride this out. I just dropped the link. Now, because this is the free version of StreamYards, I can only do 6 people at a time. But the link is out there. Come on up and let's chop it up. Because in the end, I want to take my channel to different places too. I just dropped the link. And if you guys have any other advice on how to give people wrenches, please let me know. Wow, welcome to the stream. Let me on. You're muted. Let me on. Let me see if I can unmute you. Uh, all right. Well,
Hello.
hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Congratulations.
Well, I'm trying it out. Let me tell you. Hey, look, I'm trying it out. I'm just. That's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all
I'm
right.
your first. Wow. I'm so
Yeah.
honored.
So my thing is, the question is, we were talking about spanking. Now, I come from an era where we were allowed to spank. I was in the military. Now, back when I was coming up, it may seem brutal, but with kids today, how are you going to set kids straight? Because a lot of kids are definitely, in my humble opinion, disrespectful. How do we fix this problem of kids? Because
Um, I like
I
what you
don't have
said
an
about
answer.
starting early because I do believe that the issue is a lot of parents are not starting early enough. But from my own personal experience, I didn't really learn anything from being spanked because, like you said, for some parents, they are brutalizing their kids and they're taking the so called discipline too far. And what I often found was I was getting in trouble or like I had part of my childhood was in care and part of it was raised as a single by a single parent. I understand what it's like to live in a two-parent home and with no spanking, and I know what it's like to live in a single parent home with spanking. And yeah, you have to incentivize a child not to do things that are going to lead to discipline. It's like I was watching a video once, and I actually wanted to cover this on my channel at one point. It's like instead of telling a child no offer them an alternative, because the more you tell a child not to do something, we naturally want to do it more. And so you have to have an option that takes the child away from the thing that they want to do. And that's something that you want to raise a child with very early on. So if they want to go, and if it's something that's not really going to harm them, sometimes it's better to just supervise them in doing it. And if it's something that is harmful, you can just offer an alternative. So instead of saying no, just be like, instead of uh playing with these knives, how about we go and get some paintbrushes? It sounds silly, but because the more you tell the child no, is the more they're going to be intrigued by the thing that you're trying to take them away from, and ultimately, when you're not around, they're probably going to go towards it. So that's, I know this was a topic that came up the other day, and it was really interesting because I did experience a lot of spanking and a lot of fear, but it was kind of like, okay, I don't really fear the beating, but I don't really want to get the beating, and it was like severe in some instances, but as long as I don't get caught, I technically don't have anything to be worried about. And that set me on a wrong path as I became an adult, because you can get away with certain things, or the consequences are not very big when you're a child, but the older you get, the more severe the consequences become when you have that mentality.
Well, there are, and I agree with you. There are some times spankings don't work, and yes, when you get a little older, kids really need to understand what responsibility is. And see, the reason why it's said you have to teach kids when they're young, because guess what? If you don't give kids any type of discipline, well, what's going to happen is they're going to get out here no matter where you live, and they're going to get disciplined from the system, like a beat down from
Oh
the
yeah,
police.
definitely.
They're going to end up in jail. And I've always said, you end up in jail, don't call me. Uh, don't call. You know why? Because I gave you the tools. You went out there, you defied me, and now the system's got you. Salute Trey.
Facts.
Shout out to Trey. But again, I still, and I'm an old school guy. I still believe
Yeah,
that.
me too. I'm not anti-spanking. I don't want people to think that I'm against, a swat on the bottom, or a tap on the hand or something, and things like that. I'm not anti-spanking. So don't worry.
Yeah,
But
because
as
I
I said, I
remember.
feel like it should be a last resort, because it doesn't really teach the child anything apart from to fear their own parents, and that could drive them to other people who maybe don't have their best interest, but they're not going to offer that fear-based type of discipline. So that's another thing I'm thinking. I got a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit stuffy, please forgive me.
That's okay, but like like I said, it's dealing with children today. That's not my specialty either. Uh, and that's why I say thank God all mine are grown, um, because it's just so much that you have to deal with because they're parents. And here in America, and maybe Trey, if he comes up, um, he can help me explain something, because I was watching the channel last night, Will Johnson, and do you know they want to basically use I call it the Nazi style Germany process to teach parents not to say anything to the school boards, or they want to take their children away from their parents because parents are standing up for their children. I have heard that. And I'm kind of dismayed at what I'm hearing, and not too many people are talking about it. And I want to definitely talk about it, because right now our children are our lifeblood. And if we don't take care of our children, it's going to be too late, because they're already getting indoctrinated into this society. And this society has become demonic. And it's not just
Mm,
here in America, it is here all over the world. This is global. And we got too many globalists out here that are basically trying to tell us what we need to do with our lives. Now they're creating fear. And that's always been my fear, is dealing with the ignorant people out here who are going to comply to what's going on. Now, I know I can't talk about it, but many of us have, I've heard talked about the JAB. And in my
mm,
humble opinion, yeah, I can't talk about that because YouTube will, they'll take the stream down. You have a number of individuals that are running from the truth and they want to silence us every day. And at the end of the day, we're not going to get anywhere if we're silenced. I believe in free speech. And sometimes speech is going to hurt, sometimes it's not. But in the end, we're going to have to make some adjustments.
definitely. And when you said about indoctrination, I do feel like a large, I mean, it's not necessarily feasible, but if more parents were homeschooling, and one of the things I always say is, and I don't really believe in saving the entire community. I don't believe the entire community can be saved. But, I always say, to save the black community, should we just throw out our TV? Because a lot of the programming and the indoctrination is coming through our social media and our media. And just sheltering kids, I believe, from so many external influences would go a long way. But I remember some time back, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Sister George and Concrete Rose from the Breakdown of Woman's Perspective. And they were talking about dating and relationship as young black people. And I was like, a lot of the times we don't really, I feel like black parents sometimes don't allow their children to grow and chaperone them through the growth process. And I think it's more of a modern thing because more, people are having kids on their own. A lot of mothers are working. They don't have that time or that patience to rear up children. And so it's like once upon a time, you would have time to actually invest in a child. But now a lot of parents, they're just kind of dumping their kids off at daycares. They're putting their kids in front of the TV or giving them a device to keep them distracted. And as a result, they're getting heavily indoctrinated. And so it's a tough one because the cost of living makes it very hard for you to be a full-time parent, and that's it's ever increasing, and people fear danger even though danger is kind of going down and things like that. But yeah, it's a cultural problem that has to be addressed early, you know giving children alternatives, giving them options, you know um just making them value what they have, and then the fear of losing what they have rather than the fear of punishment all the time. I'm not contradicting what you're saying, 411. That's just what I personally feel from my own personal experience, because I didn't really get anything from the beating. I actually felt quite triumphant when I did the wrong thing, but I didn't get caught. And you don't want to go into adulthood with that mentality. But external influences are a big problem, especially with the education system that we have now, with all of the liberalism and the social justice causes, and a lot of ideas that are very non-traditional. Kids are being influenced and basically targeted at a much earlier age, and that's problematic.
Oh, it looks like he fell off.
So now that I'm running the show,
Well, yeah, since you're running the show, I guess I'll rebut what you said and give you my
okay,
opinion, because I don't
cool.
believe children should get options, period. The only option they should have is to do what the hell you tell them to do. Plain and simple. The world might be free, the country might be free, but my house is a strict dictatorship. You do what I say, how I say, when I say. Now, with that being said, there are multi-level tiers to consequences of your actions. I'm not just going to haul off and knock you out knock your head off your shoulders because you told me no. But you tell me no, chances are you're going to get your Wii taken away from you, or you're going to get your Switch taken away from you. But this crap of giving kids options, that's why we're where we're at today, is because they've been given too much freedom. They've been given too many options, and they got parents that are going out of their way to try and be their friends rather than be the people that are supposed to set them up to be successful in life. My job is not to be my child's friend. I am not my child's friend. My job is to be the one that shows them the way through life and gives them the proper qualities and the proper leadership skills so that they become productive members of society and don't end up in prison by the time they're 18 years old. Qualities and the proper leadership skills so that they become productive members of society.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's true.
I mean, if you think about it, most of these kids have enough dumbass friends that are going to try and convince them to go against everything you say as a parent. So they don't need you to be right there in the mix with them. I'm not trying to be the popular parent in town. Actually, if you want my opinion, I'd rather be the parent that everyone hates.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not saying be your child's friend because I don't subscribe to that philosophy either. But what I'm saying is this. Autonomy and agency are something that you have to train within a person. And when you cannot be with a child every minute of the day. So you have to also raise them to be people who know that when they're presented with a set of options, they don't have to pick the option that is held by their friends. It's a little bit, I don't want to say it's a cultural difference, but I do feel like there is a cultural difference. It's like,
well, look, your argument, the only place that your argument, in my opinion, stands valid is your children already have the option to do the right thing or do the wrong thing or suffer the consequences. That's it.
No, because the option I was giving was, for example, like I said, I was watching a video and I actually agreed with it a lot. It was saying, I don't tell my children no. And we're talking about very small children. And the lady in the video who was white, she was like, I don't tell my children no because I understand the more I tell them don't is the more they're going to want to do it. And so if you see that the child has, and she showed an example, it was like the children want to go in the drawers and play with the cups. She has like drawers and she puts the cups in a drawer instead of all of them in the cupboard for whatever reason. Maybe there's no space in the cupboard or whatever. And then it was like, I just let her and I just supervise her because it's not a big deal if she wants to play with the cups, and it's not a big deal even if she were to break a cup. She will learn how to hold a cup by just playing with the cups.
But and we know Montessori. At the same time,
okay, 1 second. And you understand, like Montessori daycares, they use real things. They use real cutlery, real cups, real glassware, because they want the children to become familiar with using adult things. And so you're also guiding a child how to be a functioning adult, but you have to guide them using real world scenarios. In the same way,
what happens when that child is doing it? What happens when that child is doing that unattended? You're in another room. They grab a glass and break it and don't realize the aspect that they're going to cut their fucking hand open. Or cut their hand open, or they don't know how to differentiate between a butter knife and a steak knife.
Well, I'm not saying they should use a kitchen knife, but what I'm saying is this. Again, I used the example before. If the lady said, "Oh, the child goes to grab a knife," you could just say, honey, instead of the knife, which is dangerous, and you explain why it can cut you, it can hurt you, let's play with something else. That's when I say an alternative. That's what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, children will resent you if you control them too much.
They're supposed to resent me until they become an adult and parents themselves and understand.
No, that's not a healthy relationship. because the
Well,
relationship your
well,
children have with
neither
you
is not
is
telling them no
going.
and them not realizing that no is a legitimate answer to things. What you're
Yeah, I
arguing is
never
the
said
same thing
no
as a
for
participation
everything.
trophy, telling kids that just because you didn't work as hard as the next person, you still deserve a trophy
Yeah,
for the
I
work
don't
that they
believe in
did.
participation trophies either. I don't believe in participation trophies either. But it's got to be age appropriate, and it's got to be, and there has to be an understanding that there's an alternative. If you have something in front of you, there's an alternative. And when I say options, I'm not talking about you can go out until
Well, let
midnight
me
or you can
explain it
go
to
out
you
till
like this.
9.
I have a 1-year-old daughter right now, and you want to know what she
Okay,
understands? She understands that when she goes to grab something, when I say no, that she stops. What she doesn't understand is if I look at her and say, hey, why don't you grab your toy instead of that cup?
or you could explain to her this is dangerous, so we're not going to touch this. Let's play with something else. I'm not saying that you cannot
Why would I
restrict
sit in why would I try and explain a concept, a complex argument to a 1-year-old when I can say no and she automatically understands
because
what that
even
means?
at 1 year old, even if she can't articulate what you are saying to her, she cannot convey the message back to you.
You're
She
missing
can
the whole point. Why
understand
are you
things.
trying to confuse a child when you can simplify it and
You are
then
not
you can
confusing a child.
oh my,
You are
yes, you
not
really are.
confusing a child. You are not confusing a child because
Can I
long
ask you a
before the
question? Let
child
me ask you one
conceives,
question then. Are you
one
basing this off
second.
of your upbringing or are you basing this off of the upbringing of your own children?
I've witnessed children. I've studied a little bit. I've seen
So
different things,
so
and
you
I
don't have
understand.
children of
Okay,
your
one
own.
second. One second. So when a child says their first word, is that the moment they learn the word?
No, I didn't say that at all, did I?
Exactly. So long before the child could articulate a word and their ability to speak came into effect, they were able to understand. So
I could
before the
really do,
child
look,
could,
I could really do an experience in live time right now. I could turn my camera on, put something in front of my daughter, and let you watch me say, hey, sis, go grab that toy over there instead of the cup. And she's going to completely ignore me. But as soon as I say no, she's going to stop dead in her tracks. See, this is the
that's
problem that I
cool.
have is people that don't have children trying to give advice on how to raise children.
I never said you cannot say no, but you have to. Okay, so after you say no, what are you going to do? Just keep saying no, 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 no,
No,
no.
but yeah, until she gets the message through that that's not what she's supposed to mess with. Just like that worked with me and everyone else
That's
that's ever
cool.
been told no.
That's work with that worked with me as well. Yeah, I know what you're saying, brother Trailer Hood. Uh, because I have daughters, and let me ask you something. Do you think daughters are harder to raise than boys? Because
Yes,
in my
100%.
opinion, daughters, and God, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. And yeah, if you want to go all out on the stream, you can cuss on the stream. Just tell it the way it is. Brother Trey would tell it the way it is. Daughters they come up very Machiavellian too. And Machiavellian, what I mean by Machiavellian, they know how to manipulate. And
Yes. That's something that I think is in their DNA to be able to manipulate and they're not to mention they're emotional right from birth.
Women are better at psychological warfare.
Like the wife just said, women are better at psychological warfare than men are.
It's natural.
that is true. I mean, uh, that is true. All right. All right. Well, I tell you, this. Oh, by the way, brother Trailer Hood got a message from Teapot here.
Oh, what's that?
Uh-oh. You ready for it? You've been
What's that?
challenged to a debate. I don't know by who, but
Oh yeah, I wonder by who and about what.
hey, you gotta
As
ask
long as look,
Teapot.
Teapot, I told you I will accept any debate that's ever been thrown at me as long as it's over a topic that I actually have knowledge of, because I'm not going to debate something I don't know or understand.
I understand that too. I wouldn't step myself into that fire either because I know I get burned. I just dropped the
Well,
link, so
well,
Teapot
it's
wants.
disingenuous to do so, you know.
Not really, because everybody's been a child. Not everybody has kids, but everyone's been a kid.
No, I was
And I
talking
was
about
old
debating
enough.
something you don't know.
Yeah, he's talking about Teapot. Yeah, and well, why you both are up
That's
here?
cool, but
Why are you both
It just
loving
is
on
what it is. I know what I went through as a child because I
right?
wasn't a bad kid, but I was always being punished for things I wasn't doing. And so it was like the incentive, the the drive to have an incentive to do the right thing was kind of killed in me because I was being punished for things when I wasn't doing them, and I wasn't rewarded when I achieved things. So I was old enough to understand, because I didn't grow with my family, when I did go to live with my biological mother, what it was like to basically be punished when you weren't really doing anything wrong. But then
Look,
even when you
you're really
accomplish
making,
something,
you're
you didn't
arguing with the
get
wrong person
rewarded.
about aggressive parents.
Pardon?
I said you're arguing with the wrong person about parents that were
I'm
aggressive
not
with their
arguing with
punishment
you, and I
tactics.
didn't invite you on the panel. So I'm not arguing. I was saying something and you came up.
Well, what I'm saying is you're sitting here saying that, because of the way you were raised. Well, look, I was beat as a child growing up. My dad was the first person to put a gun to my head as a child growing up. So how
Yeah,
you were raised as a
we've all
child,
got those. A lot
that
of
to me,
people
that
have
has
those
nothing to do
stories.
with being a parent. What you learn, parenting, being a child and taking how your parents were and using that as maybe a framework on how to start. Yeah, I could see that. But you don't understand what it is to be a parent until you're actually put in that role. Just like any other role in life, you do not understand the role that you are being asked to do until you've been asked to put in it.
May I please
Okay.
interrupt because my connection won't stay
Yeah,
very
Latin
long.
Patriots up. Welcome to the
What's
panel.
up,
This is
Latin?
the first time.
Hey, hi you
Go ahead and
guys.
give what you got,
I have
Latin.
to say, okay, I have to say I have 4 children, two two by two different fathers, and a boy and a girl the first time, and a boy and a girl the second time. And yes, the girls are very much more difficult than the boys. They do want to power play the parents more. And that's all I wanted to say, really. But thank you for the
Yeah,
opportunity.
boys are even easier to potty train, man.
Oh, absolutely. 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 And the thing with girls, the problem with them, man, even when they get grown, and mine are all grown, they still want to ask you for stuff.
Yeah, because they can bet, they know that, especially with dad, because dad, even though he's a hard ass and they know that he is the one that is supposed to enforce authority, they still know that they have that power to bat their eyelashes at him and be able to talk him out of pretty much anything they want.
Yeah, and remember, and you two were probably old enough. Remember back in the days we had phones and we had to collect calls. Now, remember something. You know who got the most collect calls, who had to accept the charges from their kids, especially when they went off to college? Dads did.
Yep.
Yeah, dads. Yeah. Now, on that note, while I have you two on the panel, you guys are going to have to give me some definite advice on how to make this thing work. Because right now it looks very, very plain. All the tricks that I've seen you all do, I gotta learn them to make
I
this.
tell you what, um, brother Leon, what I'll do is if I'll give you my email and you can email me, and then what I'll do is I'll give you my phone number, and I will actually we can actually do like a conference call with each other, and I'll walk you through it. That way we can both be on StreamYard through the back, and I'll show you how to
Oh
use it
man,
all.
because I don't even know right now. I don't even know if this is going on to YouTube yet. I
Yeah,
don't.
It's
it
on
is.
YouTube.
Oh, it is. I mean, you
Yep.
guys,
Yeah.
and I thank you guys, and you're always welcome. Now let me tell you something, and this is. I was talking about cognitive dissonance earlier, and I'm gonna need some information from all the guys in my chat, all the individuals here on the panel. You got to teach me how to share some stuff too, because I was trying to share. I was going to do cognitive dissonance, and thank God you all
Where it
bailed.
says, where you saw the invite button, do you see the word share as well? Share
I
screen.
yes, I do. I do see it.
So when you click on that, it will give you 3 options. That's how mine is. It's like share window, share tab, or share the entire screen. And you just pick whichever. Is it open?
See, mine's got just share screen on it. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
And
if
you
you
got
go to share a tab,
see, maybe I'm missing that. Um,
because I'm not sure. I have like
you got
Microsoft. I don't know if you have a Apple like Chrome or something like a not Chrome.
you don't have antisocial, so I got Microsoft and
Okay, because when it says share a tab, it shows me a list of all the tabs that I also have on the same browser,
yes, yes.
and then I just pick the tab. So if I have a video open on YouTube, I can just click on that, share the audio, and it should show.
Now I'm gonna tell you all something, and I told Tommy, I'm gonna tell her this. Well, tell Tommy, well, she already knows it. I'm running this thing. You talk about cognitive dissonance, and I'm gonna tell you how I'm running it. I'm running it on sheer fright because
Isn't that how everybody does their first stream?
when I first did my YouTube video, I didn't have this problem because, okay, back then, and this goes back to 2016, I actually did it on my telephone. And in fact,
Same.
I was doing YouTube videos, and I don't know, brother Trailhead, were you doing YouTube videos with your phone too? I just had a phone, and I could do them while I was driving. I wasn't as scared, but this, everybody's using StreamYards, and everybody, I seen you all put the fantastic logos up there. Look, I got the StreamYard bird up there. You guys know.
Yeah, I think you have to pay to get that removed. But at the same place where you saw the word invite, it also says something like banner or branding. When you go in there, that's how you can remove things, change the background, and add images over the top.
Because I assure you, I get used to this. This will be much, much better.
It's fine. You're doing fine.
I know you got on here anti-socialist. I was doing a test, and you left me a comment short, straight to I was testing it out. I said, I hope I know what I'm doing, and I said, okay, I'm gonna give it a go, and because I want to.
You lived.
I'm gonna just be totally honest. Everybody is doing it. Okay, I'm gonna still do my pre-recorded videos, but everybody is doing streams. And I know you guys probably have it, and gals probably have it to where you could get 10 people up there. That's the additive. I mean, I got to start out with baby steps first. So
Yeah, there's a small learning curve to it, 411, but like me, I just kind of, jumped onto it and just kind of started fiddling around with it and found my way through it eventually. You know what I'm saying? Which to me, it made it a little bit easier for me to operate it now that because I took the time to kind of teach myself. But for the most part, it gets simple. It ain't that difficult. Now, what I will say is, when it comes to open panels like this, I would start out until you start getting used to running open panels and being able to control your guests. I would start out with only allowing a few people on at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I got where I can allow up to 6 people, and I gotta show it. I mean, you guys got it where you can put the names there and everything. You guys got to where you can keep comments. All right, I got to ask you a question while I have you. All right, I clicked on the comment so I can read it. Now, how do I take that comment off now?
You click on the same comment again, and it'll say hide, just like it said show. If you got to click on the exact same comment, or you can click on any comment underneath it and show it, and then click it again, and it'll hide it.
Okay. Because that's what I'm.
You see how when you put the cursor over top of the comment, it says show.
I don't see that. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Are you on your computer or phone?
I'm on the computer.
Okay, on your computer, you should be able to see it say show when you put your arrow over top of the actual comment. It'll be real small right in the middle of the comment.
It's actually not showing. It's actually not saying it. Maybe I had to right click. See, that's why I got my audience. That's why I got my audience.
If you click on like I said, if you click on the same comment again, you can make it disappear.
Oh, okay. And I'm just trying to make sure I run it correctly because I'm definitely going to need some work, ladies and gentlemen, to make it a lot better. Because you guys are the pros at this right now, and I'm still learning. And
Nah, man, I still jack things up, dude. You see how, man, when I do them screen shares, I'm so horrible at it, man.
and by the
I'm
way,
touching at my computer.
when you come here, there's no drama here. Be who you are. I know who everybody is. That's why I'm glad everybody in this circle come up here, be yourself, and let's enjoy having a conversation. Um, Everybody runs it differently. I'm not a hard ass about it, unless I won't let anybody up here who's gonna. And I'm like you, Trailer Hood. Who's going to be disrespectful? Because I saw you the other day. You had somebody on your channel. He got in his feelings, and they were talking over each other. I think BMT was on that panel. I saw.
Yeah, dude, that was a rough panel. That's the first time I've had that many people up at one time, man. Usually, I always kept it down around 4 or 5 people, but I got my StreamYard YouTube panel cherry pop that day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I had my work cut out for me, man. People talking over everybody. I mean, there's a couple times that it just turned into a dumpster fire, and I had to just mute everyone and remind them where they were at. I mean, I ain't got no problem with the heated discussion and a couple people going back and forth. I have an issue when people start talking over each other, and then you can't even hear the discussion being had anymore.
Well, you know what I can say about being a human being? I'm not perfect. Thank God I'm not. It is a learning curve for me, and like I said, I appreciate the chat, and I appreciate you're just gonna have to show me how to put banners and everything like you all do, because I haven't put my Cash App and everything up. I do have one, but I'm gonna start doing these. I just have to find out when everybody else is doing it, so I can get on theirs and. Because brother Trey, he does some good stuff. He gets. I don't know how he does it from the truck, but
You can put the banner in the chat. Just if you can just type it out, maybe.
put the banner in the chat.
No, just type the Cash App into the chat, and we can use it.
Oh, okay.
And also, the all of your details are in your about section. So,
Okay.
if people want to donate, they can just go to the about section of your channel.
Well, you already know where it is. It's at the bottom of my YouTube video.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, brother Leon, I put my email in the back chat for you. That way you got it. I'm going to go ahead and hop off here right now and let someone else hop up and top it up with you for a little bit if they want to.
all right. Cash App's in the chat. It's at the bottom of my video. But yes, going back to something you said, antisocial. Everybody comes up different when it comes to children. We've all been children. I know. Let me tell you, I got my fair share of trouble. It's really how you navigate yourself through the real world as well, too. And a lot of people, and that is true. You can give them a beating, they still don't turn out right. I've seen that too. I had some cousins, but I turned out pretty good. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to clarify. I'm not for parents being friends with kids. I'm not for being a permissive parent where you just give the child everything and you never offer structure or discipline. I'm saying that there has to be a balance between love, affection, care, but also at the same time, structure.
right.
Discipline is partly to do with structure, having a routine, um, giving a child a limited number of options. So you're still restricting them, but you're not being so controlling that the child only feels like the only way I can get what I want is to basically be like deceptive, because that is what's ultimately going to happen. I don't agree that a child should resent their parents, because that's how they end up going to other people who maybe our peers and things like that who don't have life experience, and they go out to the streets or they go looking for other people to kind of be a replacement parent. So, and I don't agree with participation trophies either, because obviously that kills a person's competitive drive. There's no motivation to perform if the person who does very well is getting the same as the person who didn't try at all. So all those things I don't support. But at the same time, I understand the concept of a dictatorship, but it should be, in my opinion, a benevolent dictatorship where everybody's best interest is at the heart of the decisions you make. Sometimes it's going to be a hard no, and other times it's let's negotiate because I don't know. Well, as a psychologist, you're familiar with the concept of authoritative parenting, which
Yeah.
is, yeah, as opposed to authoritarian, where it's like you have little to no affection, but you have a lot of demands placed upon you. You only feel like you're being loved when you're performing, as opposed to an authoritative parent who can show love, can receive love, who can give discipline and structure, but there's a good balance between the two. And that's what I'm talking about. A lot of people who have studied psychology have seen that authoritative parenting does produce the most well-rounded, balanced individuals. So that's what I was basically trying to convey as, age appropriately.
Oh that's understood, because I can understand why individuals get a little heated. Now I don't get heated. I'm just hearing different views because I have my views about kids, and I know people used to think I hate kids. I don't hate kids. Okay, I just don't like undisciplined kids. Um, and just like brother Trailerhood said, when it comes to a moms, this is why you got to have a balance of a mom and dad. Mom is the one who brings on the nurturing and the affection, where dads bring on the logic and the structure. Because I believe you need a balanced kid if he or she is going to make it. Now, don't get me wrong. As a man, I can't raise daughters because I don't have that estrogen. But that's what I defer that to a mother to do. But when it
Yeah.
comes to these hard leg boys, yeah, I mean these boys, and just like Brother Trey would say, these boys need to go play some football. You know, they need to go play some hockey, get their brains beaten out a little bit. Go to the military because they're weak, they're soft. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
I'll play some soccer or something. And that's the thing that I don't know how it is over there in England, but over here we used to have a lot of boys and girls clubs and recreational centers.
Yeah, a lot of those have been scrapped.
And that's too bad.
I mean, even the parks don't have playgrounds. A lot of them don't even have proper play areas anymore. So
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know. And another thing, here's another thing that I want to get into, because I know I hear it all over YouTube: the stepdaddy and the stepmommy. Now, me, I am not in favor of being stepdaddy. That's why all my kids are grown and gone. That's too hard of a job. And a number of these kids, heck, if they didn't respect their own dad, do you think they're going to respect the stepdad or the stepmom? I mean, I hear a lot of that out here. And being a parent is a thankless job. Okay,
yeah, definitely.
Well, you know what else is a thankless job too? You going to work and you're a manager. I used to manage people, and I was going to go into hotel restaurant management again. And I said, no, I can't do that, because I used to work in that field, and I was always the one that would come home tired after working 2 and 3 shifts because individuals didn't want to come to work. And we have a problem with that. We have a problem with individuals. I don't know about over there in England, but there's so many signs out here that businesses are looking for people, but kids just don't want to work. Heck, you got parents that don't want to work either. They want to live off those government programs.
Yeah, true. I mean, again, it's going back to what I was saying about stick versus carrot, because motivation is like a muscle, just like other muscles or drives in the brain. If you are, and this is why, going back to what you said about two parents in the household, one of the reasons why single parenthood, to me, I've talked about this on my channel, is so detrimental, is because you're likely to be raising a child in poverty. And if you're raising a child in poverty, you cannot give them things that then can be taken away. So you haven't got the ability to incentivize them to want to do the right things. Because once they become an adult or they get old enough to be out of your presence, they need to be able to self-motivate to do what is right. And so if you're training that child, I mean, everyone's seen the marshmallow incident, the experiment. Is like, you can have the one marshmallow now, or if you wait, and you delay gratification, blah, blah, blah. And then the children who actually were able to discipline themselves to wait, they found years later, they had much better outcomes. Now, obviously, this is partly to do with the way the child is made up. If the child is naturally impulsive, that's just carried through into adulthood. But training a child from a very early age to want to be rewarded is something that's going to help them to want to stick on the right path, because they understand the consequence of doing what is right is a reward, as opposed to always trying to dodge a punishment. And so I don't even know. I think that's what we were kind of talking about here. That's what I was basically saying, that
Right.
when you have, one parent in the home, a lot of the reason why a lot of these parents, I think someone said it in the chat, sometimes the child is not even really being beaten because they did something wrong. They're getting beaten because the parent is frustrated and it's out of anger. It's
That's
not
true.
really about discipline. It's more about, I'm frustrated, I'm angry with you, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do, let me just whoop you until I get the frustration out. And that's not teaching the child anything. So motivation is something that has to also be instilled, taught, and trained. And you do that through being able to give a reward, increasing the pocket money, decreasing the pocket money, banning them from the game, having, one of the things that Jordan Peterson said was, children need play. And a lot of the time, the children are frustrated because they're cooped up, they're in front of screens a lot and things like this. One of the things that a lot of mothers don't do is play with their children face to face. They'll give a child a device, they'll put the child in front of the TV instead of interacting with the child. And you can use that as a bargaining chip. If you finish your homework quickly, if you eat your dinner, whatever time is left between now and bedtime, we will play the house down. And you'll find the child is more motivated because they look forward to the reward instead of always trying to duck and dive that punishment. And I'm not saying punishment is something you have to completely remove, but it's something that shouldn't always be driving the child like a fear. Do you understand? Because really and truly, as an adult, if you don't get caught, you're not punished, but you're still not performing and you're still not motivated to strive. You're just doing barely enough not to be punished. So you're not really training that person to become the fullest potential. Do you understand? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Now, Awesome Alice says, and she's got two good comments. Some of them want everything the easy way, and she also said something that I said too, and you may have said it. Balance is also necessary, and when I talk about balance, this is when you have from my humble opinion, a two-parent household where, again, the mother gives the affection and the nurturing, and the dad gives the discipline and the structure. Because if you don't have a balanced kid, they're not going to know how to navigate themselves through the real world. And I'm talking about if they're male or female, because I'm going to tell you, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here. And there are more and more influences out here, and there are more and more individuals that want to take the brains away from the children and put something else in their head where it's going to be deviant. and there's a lot of deviant behavior going on here. And again, uh, Trailerhood says this is why academics shouldn't have or shouldn't give parenting advice, because they theorize everything as if all children are the same and have no real understanding. I believe that's
Okay, well,
go ahead.
well, Jordan Peterson, I'm pretty sure he has kids. And again, like I said, when I was a child, I just wanted to hang out. I just wanted to go out with friends. I wasn't in trouble. I wasn't a bad child. I had very good grades, but I was still always being punished like a person who wasn't performing. And like you said, the first question you asked me, 411, was, over here, do we have youth clubs? And
Yes.
the answer is no. A lot of young people have nowhere to go to burn that energy. And a lot of us, we talk, I know, I don't know about you, but I know I always talk about the education system not being conducive to male children, because boys need recess. They need time to run around. They need ability to compete. They need, time to run around, play in the outside. And they found that the children who have more recess, they're able to burn that energy. It raises their testosterone, which helps them to concentrate and actually perform better. So children, we used to go out sometimes, especially during the holidays, and we didn't come back till it became dark. So when you're saying about discipline, it wasn't just the discipline that helped older generations to become functioning adults. It was the other things as well. The structure, the society was a bit more, I don't use the word pure, but there were a lot of things that we were sheltered from because, for example, there was a watershed. You didn't see certain things on TV until a certain time when you were probably in bed. And when you were up, you were playing, you were being creative, you were outside on your bike or whatever, running around, playing, climbing trees and being a normal child. A lot of children do not have that experience anymore. And that's another reason why they're becoming, I don't want to use the word ill, but I feel like that's the word we need to use. They're literally becoming sick because they are cooped up. They are just in the phone, in the TV. They're not running around. There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't think what it is.
Take the
It's
time,
not
because I
one. It's
know-
not one thing. It's not just the discipline. It's a combination of a number of factors that are coming together
Right.
that's making children sick.
That's funny that you say that, because and you've heard a lot of my psychological videos. It is, when I talk about one psychological mental health disorder, guess what? There are always other ones that creep in there, just like children. And one of the big things I see in children is obesity. I'm talking about in children. And you just mentioned it, because a lot of these children aren't getting that recess. And I don't know about over there, but I believe some of the schools here have taken PE out. When I went to high school, middle school, and of course, elementary school, we had PE. We had to exercise for an hour.
Mm.
I don't
Know about now. I don't know about now, but I do feel like children are staying longer in the classroom. I think they're talking about extending the school days in some instances. But children, like I said, even the parks, they don't have a play area. Once upon a time, you could go to the park, but I feel like a lot of children, they only have the option to stand on street corners. And I do see a lot of overweight children, way more than I can really remember before. Like, there was only one or two, but I think I'm seeing more overweight kids now than before. Maybe I'm just paying more attention. I don't know, but
no,
we know that
that's actually
fat
true.
cells produce hormones. So the more fat cells you have in your body, the more emotional you're going to become, because they're actually generating hormones. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, I've seen it too. And you're right too, with the cell phone and something else. And I know Brother Trey is going to do it, and I can't wait to see that live. He's going to do, I think, the anti-social disorder. I was going to do that, but
You
let him.
still can do it because your perspective is going to be different from his.
Hey, Trey,
We
and shout out to brother Trey. He does some good stuff, and I saw
Yeah.
you all. I saw you all live on his panel last night. You all were you were going for it, and like I said, I want my panels to be just as good too. Like, and I'm starting out. It's little learning curve for me, and I'll get there. But there's still some tricks I got to learn,
Paul,
and
yeah, definitely.
well, I mean, maybe I was afraid to go into it at first, but I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna learn it.
Well,
But
yeah, it's obviously scary because you don't know what you're going to be presented with on a live, and you can't edit it out. Whatever happens, you've got to roll with it in real time, and we can all see it. So
yeah,
obviously, it's going to be a bit more nerve-wracking than a pre-record that you could just delete or just not upload. So, but yeah, you're doing just fine.
you
You're
want to
doing
know
just
something
fine.
though? When I do my pre-recorded videos, I don't edit them either. It is straight live, and because
Shooting straight from the hip.
I worked in radio, and let me tell you something. Here's the key: if I make a mistake, I go back over the same information, and I take an article and I go over it, and I'll read it and talk about it. I just don't read the article. That's why you hear a lot of my um, psychology stuff, because I want to keep doing that, because it is very important that we understand the psychology of everything. And
Yeah,
psychology is very important. Although I'm not a psychologist, the biggest thing that I see out here is behavioral problems, and there are a lot of us who need therapy. Um, Therapy is very important. And, we're talking about children, but what about adults here? I mean, even though we have children, shouldn't adults continue to learn as well? I mean,
well, yeah, definitely, definitely.
I'm still
And,
taking some classes, you
yeah, of
know?
course, and if I throw on my tinfoil hat with the whole conspiracy theories, I feel like they want us to have a constant preoccupation. Like the phone has become a major distraction because we know people are picking up their phone and checking their messages and social media sometimes hundreds of times a day. And then with the cost of living going up, people are forced to work more in order just to cover the cost of living. And so, enriching yourself, spending time just reflecting, relaxing, getting away, de stressing, detoxing, like digitally detoxing, is something that a lot of people don't have time for, or they feel they don't have time for. And again, that's making people mentally ill because social media has a very deceptive name. It's called social media, but you're actually always in the room on your own. Okay, you are talking to people globally, but once you shut down that computer, you are still on your own. And so it's a false sense of security that you have a network that you don't really have. And so the phone has become a very big distraction. Everyone's talking about the whistleblower. We watched movies about this years ago, and the brother who helped Mark Zuckerberg create Facebook, I think he was from Southeast Asia. He exposed how they deliberately put like things to create dopamine hits in social media to make it addictive, and so they use these things as a distraction to make us sick, to make us hooked, so that we don't spend time actually focusing on the things that really matter. So
That is true, because there are a lot of distractions going on. And I really believe that with this social media, in fact, I did videos on it years ago, where social media, because you had some social media on. In fact, I commented on one of your videos where this African American woman pulled a gun out on a baby daddy.
yeah,
I'm like, wow. Look, I mean, look at
that
this.
video is about 3 years old because after I do my content, I go to look to see what other people's commentary is, just to line up and see, did I miss things or did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Are other people thinking the way I'm thinking? I try not to watch other people's content on the same topic until I've done mine, because I want my view to be authentic, right? And I came across a video that was like 3 years old. But again, this is mental illness, but I feel like this was frustration. This was dysfunction. This was a woman who basically had made a series of bad decisions. And I wouldn't say it's social media. I feel that's more a case of mental illness becoming normalized in the Western world. A lot of things that are not right behavior, we're calling it my truth. We're calling it a bit eccentric. She's just expressing herself, or this person just being a little bit emotional, and they're not identifying that there's a serious underlying problem here.
Yeah, that is correct. We are really taking language and we're just changing it to fit our narrative to make us feel good. And I've always said that. In fact, that video that you said was 3 years old, going back to when I started YouTube and prior to that, the same issues were occurring then. If you look at Tommy Sotomayor's videos 10 years ago and you come up to now, we're still talking about the same issues. So
True.
that's telling everyone, is it getting worse or is the same? Now, I believe it's getting worse because, okay, when MySpace came out, a lot of people really weren't hip to MySpace, but it's when Facebook came out, and then you had all these other apps that came out, and then the dating apps came out, and then the biggest one, and I'm not even on that, Instagram. All that came out, and you have a number of individuals who believe that they are social media stars, and because they have that type of thinking, they believe now that they're above everybody else. And
Yeah, definitely.
I know when it comes to women, and this is where I'm going to keep it balanced. You have a number of guys. I'm not going to use the word thirsty. I hate that word, or I dislike that word. Everybody uses it. I'm gonna go back to the good old fashioned word called they're desperate.
Yeah.
And while I'm out here, anybody's watching, I hear a number of individuals talk about the red pill. Now I'm up live and I'm going to tell you what the red pill really is. Of course, the red pill came from the Matrix back in 1999. There were two pills, the red pill and the blue pill. Now, the blue pill, in my humble opinion, still represents, and this is just me, it just represents when they're talking about relationships. The blue pillars believe that a number of women are going to change, but I'm going to go above women. The blue pillars believe that the world is going to change in their favor to the way they see it. Well, red pill is you got to see the truth, and it goes much further than relationships. And you hear this term red pill rage. I never use the word red pill rage. Why? It's anger. Okay. Red pill doesn't have the rage. If you take the red pill, you are basically looking at the truth. That's what red pill is. I'm not going to get angry at the truth. A number of these guys who have, they call it red pill rage, is really anger. They're frustrated with their lives. They can't find women. They don't have anything going on with their lives. And these are the guys out there who have anger issues. And with the anger issues, they're going to hurt themselves and harm somebody else. And I see a number of them, and I'm sure you've seen it as well. They get on panels and they just argue back and forth with one another. And that's what I want to differentiate myself here, because here on the 401 Talk Zone radio show, this is grown folks radio right here. Come here, have a conversation, go home, get some sleep, wake up, and we have a another conversation because I don't like all that stress. You know, arguing back and forth is stressful. It is
Yeah,
very
definitely.
stressful. Well, there is a YouTuber by the no Red Pill Rage. I've seen her videos. That's right, Lawrence. But
I do believe in red pill rage. I feel like it's kind of like if you believe a certain construct, finally waking up and realizing your whole life has been a lie. The rage is understandable because for a lot of men, you know, the blue pill is like a socially accepted social construct. And so when you kind of come, especially if you go down a very slippery, steep slope into the red pill. Like if you stumble on content and then you binge watch, you get a very rude awakening. And it's like part of you doesn't, and it's kind of fitting that you mentioned this about, we're talking about cognitive dissonance. When you're presented with this information, let's say we're talking about relationships and then female nature, it you, because I remember when I first came across the black manosphere, and I was like, oh my god, I always say this, like, these men are horrible, these men are dangerous. I literally was terrified when I first came across the manosphere, which was the white manosphere. That's where I started out. I didn't even know a black sector existed. And I was walking down the street literally thinking, is that guy dangerous? Is that guy dangerous? Is he one of them? I'm only blessed that I didn't start out watching MGTOW content, because some of that can be intense.
now
And then when I came into, yeah.
I've watched Sandman and 33 Secrets. Now there's a guy from your neck of the woods I've seen. His name is King Riches. I wonder if he's still on, but I've seen some of his content.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know about any of that at the time. And then I came through the black manosphere because one of the questions I was asking, and it's so, Kevin, I wish Kevin would get out of my head. Okay, he did a video recently talking about the black church, and how I came into the manosphere was asking, why are there no men in church? And I also was kind of intrigued about this concept of MGTOW because I heard it about 3 times and I wanted to know what it was. And I was like, why are men becoming more feminine? And these were literally things I just put into a Google search. And then videos came up for Richard Cooper from Entrepreneurs and Cars. And as we know, Donovan Sharp, you know, prayers going up for him because he's got COVID and apparently he's in a very bad way. Donovan Sharp. Yeah, Donovan Sharp was doing the Brother Pill podcast with O'Shea Duke Jackson and LAR Movement. So somehow I got from Donovan to O'Shea, and that's how I kind of went through the back of the wardrobe into the Narnia that is the black manosphere. And so when I understood, at first I was like, oh my God, these black men hate black women. I was just like I didn't think I was so feminist. And then the more I watched, the more I realized some of that stuff applied to me, or it applied to females I knew. And I was like, God damn, I really thought I was more feminine and traditional than this. But the more I listened, the more I understood. And I did become angry because I felt like, why are there older women around me, but they don't give me this understanding? Like, why would you send me off on a mission that I can't complete?
Got my boy Big Bag in the house. If you want to come on up here, I'll drop the link. Come on. So
I do believe in red pill rage. Because for a while I was super angry. I was like because a huge part of my channel is talking about my biological mom because of the experience I had when I lived with her. And when I talk about it, people say, well, why are you always bashing quote unquote black women? And it's like, I can totally relate to what brothers say, because a lot of the time the black manosphere is for men, but a lot of women are subject to the same kind of manipulation, the same negligence, the same beatings and abuse. we go through some of the same things in that respect at the hands of the same black women. And so when you see all these women talk about femininity courses at 40 and trying to level up, and I'm just like, you need to talk to your mother about this. Why didn't she teach you when you were small?
Well,
You know, so
let me ask you something about that. Because you have a different point of view than a number of these women up here, do you get a lot of pushback on your channel from the I'm not going to use the term sisterhood, from the women who disagree with you? Because I
no,
know. Oh, you don't?
because my channel is very small and a lot of people don't comment, I don't get a lot of pushback. I had one video that I had a lot of traction on, and I got like a three-way split. Like people were, you know, it was about 50-50 actually, like, because the title was "And Black Women Wonder Why They're Perceived as Masculine." So some people were just like, oh my gosh, this video is so horrible, I hope they got arrested. And the other half was, why did you title the video like this? Not all black women are like this. So I did spend a lot of time having the same argument over and over. Like, the point is the perception. It's not about me saying all black women are like this. And if I do, I don't get a lot of pushback. I really don't. Most of the time it's, are you really a black woman? Like, I bet you're a white troll. I get that a lot, but I don't get a lot of pushback because my views are very small, you know?
I
I
understand.
feel like a lot of people come through, but they watch, but they, like, I don't play into the logical fallacy game.
Well,
Some
something
people,
about something about MGTOW, and I know a little bit about MGTOW, and this is what Celine says. What she doesn't like about MGTOW is because it puts all the burden on a woman's shoulders, but it takes responsibility of both sides. Well, MGTOW is here's MGTOW. MGTOW is, if you all need to know this, MGTOW is a philosophy. Now, there are individuals who don't deal with women at all. They're known as monks. MGTOW can, but I do see why a number of individuals become MGTOW because, and I want everybody to hear this, it's not necessarily about the women, it's about the system.
yeah.
That's what MGTOW is.
Mm.
It's about the system. It's about, and I'm looking at it from a greater impact than the number of people are. That's what it is. So
Yeah, because MGTOW is technically just a guy who says, I'm not getting married and I'm not having kids. Any man who says, I'm not doing both of those things is technically a MGTOW. So as you said, there are some guys who date, they cohabit, all the way up to men who kind of like go and live in a hut in the woods and they go completely off grid because they're like, I don't even want to pay taxes because some of those taxes will go to a woman some way, somehow. And I actually tell young brothers, you need to be MGTOW because all of the things about self-improvement, pursuing interests and hobbies and focusing yourself, as Rollo Tomasi would say, make yourself the central point of origin. All of these things are kind of embellishments to what MGTOW technically is. But actually, that's what we need. We need more young men to spend time focusing on developing themselves, not getting caught up with women, not making women the central focus of their life or trying to find their masculinity somehow through being connected to a female. So, MGTOW is about the laws being completely unfair and really and truly men being expected to constantly put into a system that isn't really giving them anything out other than a burden. So I wouldn't say that it puts the burden on the woman. There are definitely guys who are very like, they basically, the woman is the scourge of the earth and it doesn't matter what she does, and female nature. And yes, there are some people who take it to an extreme, but there are people who take things to an extreme in every area of life. So I don't really pay them any mind. But yeah, it's about the unfairness of the law. MGTOW is a response because you can't keep expecting men to put into a system that doesn't give them any kind of benefit out at the other side.
Well, joining the conversation is good brother Big Mac. And brother Mac, what do you have to say about this conversation?
Yes, I agree with the sister wholeheartedly. What is your name? I'm sorry, I didn't see it on your thumbnail, and I didn't see it. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can. My channel's called the Antisocial Socialite podcast.
Oh, I've heard of it. Okay, okay, I've heard of it. It comes up on my algorithm. You know, I agree with you wholeheartedly. In a sense, I think that women have gone their own way a long time ago, decades ago. So, in response to, like you said, a lot of men um who are responsible, who are building, I think family oriented, who are just about progression in life, see the deal that's out there for them, and they don't want that deal. They don't want what women have been giving them for the last decades. So yes, I feel that a lot of people are going their own way, and a lot of there are a lot of different camps. People are like, well, if I'm not getting what I want out of the deal, I'm not giving anything, which I think is a responsible way to act, because anything that you do give, be it your legacy, your reproduction, your money, whatever it is, what's the return on it? What's the return on you contributing to a society that's just going to, in a way, fleece you, take advantage of you, beat you into the ground,
Mm,
where
yeah.
where all the protections and the laws are lopsided, where now even traditional masculinity is considered toxic. I saw this in the USA Today or US News or Newsweek. It was one article I saw that traditional masculinity, the Clint Eastwoods, the what's the brother oh, my mother and my aunts used to love him. What's the not Richard Roundtree, the other guy he was an action hero or whatever. He was a black action hero. He had some movies. Like,
Was he a football player?
no, it wasn't Richard Roundtree. It wasn't Jim Brown. It was the other guy. I'm trying to think of what he played in. He died recently. Oh, anyway, it'll come to me, Leon. It'll come to me. But yeah, just traditionally being a man is considered toxic.
Sir Tice believes his brother Fred Williamson. Did he die?
Um, no, it wasn't Fred Williamson. He wasn't an athlete. He wasn't an athlete. He had a few movies and a series he was in. It's gonna come to me. My middle
I mean,
50s.
Pepe Le Pew got cancelled recently, so
Yes, yes. Isn't that something? Isn't that
Everything
no
something?
is
one.
getting canceled.
Yeah, but it is. This, and the cancel culture. Everything is just to keep you know the gynocratic elements in control. It's about keeping everything off kilter. In which I truly don't understand. And I'm talking about a man who's coming from a divorce, who kind of just woke up in his mid 50s and discovered like so many things being wrong. And in his first 50 years, not knowing that he was in something that was wrong. I always tell the story, my grandparents were married, my parents were married, and so I know what marriage life is. Um, but it's crazy out there. It's crazy that you can't have the economic benefits, the legacy benefits, the foundation of a family, which is life. You don't have those things in today's climate. Like, it's so hard to get. Everybody wants a partner or someone to be on their page, and like, like a woman's direction for me is never going to work. I'm going to just say it. I'm going to just say what it is. It can't work because, having three sisters, having, a daughter myself, 8 nieces, having been with some pretty ones, some ugly ones, and everything in between. Every incident I look at, there cannot be leadership. It just we mistake balance for sitting down on a tuffet and letting a man give orders for everything there is to do. That's not what it is. Balance is your man is supposed to be out in the forefront. Your man is supposed to be the face that deals with the world. And I think that your mate is supposed to be the one behind you with their shoulder in your back, making sure that when you get hit with those blows that you don't fall off your feet. And that's in a nutshell, that's what I think it is. And we just don't have
Yeah,
that.
agreed. Yeah.
It's I always tell Leon, for brother 411, he knows the story. I always talk about my two elderly aunts and the one that passed away in Detroit. Of my mother's, there were 17 of them, and all the women were married aside from these three. One died in Detroit. She grew some fortune and stuff like that. She had a couple of 6-unit rental properties, the house she lived in. She was the first Black person I knew to drive a Bentley. When she died, the family scavenged all of her possessions and money. I have an elderly aunt now. Brother 411 heard me speak about this over the past few months. This one aunt here in the state I'm in, she's suffering from dementia. She has no children. She worked all her life. She's drawing a pension and Social Security now, besides her 401k investments and stuff like that. And my nieces are taking care of her. And it's just all like a power struggle to determine what's right and this, that, and the other. And when I step forward to try to say, hey, listen, this is what we need to do. This is what it's your when you don't have a family, when you don't have offspring to take care of you, it puts you in a bad situation. People don't realize this. You need family. And you can't really depend on, and I'm just speaking me personally, you can't really depend on those nieces and nephews or those siblings doing what's right. You need family. The world, just we need families, and this is what the problem is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep, that's definitely true. We do need we do need families out here, and we are in this day and age somehow. And you and I are in our 50s, there, brother Big Mag, and we've seen what families can do, but we've also seen the denigration of families, and we've seen how families haven't worked either. So, you know, it's about the behavior and the culture as well. A lot of
Yes,
influences out here.
yes. And I wanted to say too, while the sister was speaking, when I was coming up, I'm seeing more and more Black men doing the things to become proper Black men than I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. I can only attribute like my father's generation, men of them doing their thing, being on their square. But these men are doing what they need to do. And what's common in a lot of those mentalities are men who are like, yeah, going their own way. Like, why am I going to build myself up? Why am I going to invest my money? Why am I going to take care of myself and then put myself in a perilous situation with a woman who figures that the world is going to be all about them, that you're getting on their program at their level and you're just a fixture to help them accomplish their goals and aspirations. Like it just doesn't. I mean, I see it. Even with my ex-wife, she's a career-minded person. She highly skilled. Trust me, highly skilled, highly skilled. And but what contributed to the deterioration of the marriage was, she there was no time left for the family. All the energy was put into the career, and there's no time left for the family. Money is good, but if money is a tool, if not used properly, what is the money worth? What is it good for? You go enslave yourself.
Exactly.
You go slave
Mm.
yourself to your job and your career, and if you don't use it properly, it's crazy. And I'm a firm believer. Well, there's stats that show married households have 4 times the wealth of individual households. So if you take the two in the marriage and split them apart, they still have twice the wealth of the individual. that's on all income levels, all levels of education. So if you take a black single lawyer, she has her money. You take a black lawyer who's married, she has twice the wealth of that single black lawyer. So, the stats don't lie in the accord. It's just all about the freedoms, and, everyone wants the right to do what they want to do. And then,
Yeah.
later on come and like, okay, like Bernard Riley says, pick a man off the good man tree.
And that's so true because, a lot of people have heard the thing where they say, oh, you buy a child a toy and they play with a cardboard box. A lot of children don't really want a lot of extravagant gifts. They don't really need it. I think that's more something that parents do to kind of ease their conscience, maybe because they're not spending enough time with the kids or something. What children really want is time,
Yeah.
attention, and to feel like they're being seen and heard and cherished. They want to be able to burn that energy with their parent. This is why a lot of the time dads are actually loved more by both children, because if you ever look at pictures of a parent sitting down, for example, at the tea set, you very rarely see pictures of the mum doing that or playing shop or playing with the mini kitchen. It's always the dads doing that. Dads have the physical strength. They go to work. They just want to come home and cut loose with the kids. And so the children naturally gravitate towards their fathers because the father is the fun parent. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Use play and privilege and time and attention as leverage, as a bargaining chip. So the children love you and respect you enough to want to not break the bond. It's kind of like you're not forming a bond, you're trying to maintain a bond. And so, again, I don't want to rehash the conversation, but there has to be respect, reverence, and a degree of healthy fear, but not so much to the point where your children are turning away from you, where they don't want to come to you. And it's like what you were saying before. It's just, we're living in a different time now. If you have two parents in the home, you may not be super rich, but you should be able to structure your life, or it's more of a possibility that you can structure your life so that you have time for the children, because that's the thing they really crave the most, your undivided attention. And so yeah, telling women go and be career women, it's deliberately designed to break up the families. And then if I put my tinfoil hat back on, it's because I personally believe, in a nutshell, broken people are very easy to manipulate. They're very easy to control and turn into consumers. It's big business to generate broken people, and one of the easiest ways to do that is just to break up the family.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There is a hierarchy of needs, and we have traditionally, families have been working in that mode, like the hierarchy of needs. And that is something, yeah. Once you take the parents, and I notice in my lifetime, when you take the parents out of the house, that's when everything goes to hell in a handbasket. I went from a generation where I grew up in the projects where we had very few single parent households. The projects were a stepping stone to get to a different level. And so you saw a lot of the families move on to buying houses and things of that nature. But now you have where the attention has been taken away from the development, in which, when you look at the pinnacle of the hierarchy of needs, at the top is spiritual enlightenment. So you can't have you can't have food, clothing, shelter, love, responsibility, education. You can't have those in danger and then expect to ascend to the top of that pyramid and have your mind together. If you don't have each block laid down properly as you build that pyramid, it's going to tip over. And like you said, broken people are easy to manipulate, and broken people are very lucrative. Very lucrative. I had my cousin, he had a Jewish friend, and I heard this like 25, 30 years ago. The guy,
Wow.
his college friend, said that black people are liquid gold. They call them liquid money, because they can't hold on to money. They can't hold on to money. Yeah. You look, You look like if you look in any predominantly black low income neighborhood, you look around the neighborhood, you have the cash bodega. We call them Al Qaeda corners here. You know, you have the Al Qaeda corner. You have the chicken spot, the liquor store, the Chinese food takeout. You have that Jimmy Jazz clothing store. All these cash businesses, all of them cash businesses, because they know ain't nobody got a credit card. Ain't nobody worrying about the return policy on the item. They just, yeah, me. I need it now. I need it now. I ain't gonna cook tonight. Give me chicken wings, French fries.
But that's that. Hey, good evening,
Good
Fudge.
evening.
Hey,
Been
good
joined
evening,
by
good
my
evening.
brother. From
Yeah,
Detroit.
yeah,
Sir,
man.
nice.
What
This
up?
is my first live stream, brother.
Yeah, I see. I just wanted. I saw the topic, and I'm like, oh shit. Then I saw Big Mag, and I'm like, okay, he's dropping some bombs here. We'll talk about the hat stuff outside of here. We're a little bit more
Yeah,
serious today.
I'm freestyling it tonight because didn't know how to share the screen. So hey, maybe I can get some advice from
Hey,
my brother.
I got you. I want to add something into the topic anyway. I'm not going to stay all night, but or not just the topic. Big Mac, I think you thinking about Bernie Casey. I at first said Fred Williamson. Bernie Casey was the guy in Revenge of the Nerds, he was the black he was the president of the black fraternity. Is that who you talking about?
No, no, that's not him. Oh my God, what is this guy's? It's gonna come to me. It's gonna
give the description again.
He was a muscular, dark-skinned dude, had a thick mustache and this
Carl
hair.
Weathers?
Who?
Carl Weathers?
Yes, Carl Weathers. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Tyree. That's him. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he's still alive, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's still alive. He played in Rocky.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, yes, playing right.
He had, I remember he had a show called what was it called? Not Citizen Kane. Oh my God, Fortune Dane. That was it. Yeah. As intelligent as I sound, all I did in the '80s was watch TV. You ask me any facts about that stuff, I can rattle it off, which kind of ties into what I'm saying on the serious side, though, is that you were talking about family, Big Mag, and we hear that so much, it's almost like cliche, but as we're older now, we recognize how important that was. And just to give you a point, I was listening. I literally had a conversation. So what? The first football game ended at 3 or 4 o'clock on Sunday. I end up talking to my uncle till I'm like, Unc, it's 9 o'clock, man. The night game has already started, man. But we just catching up through the years. He's got me by, I want to say, like 15 years. So, or 15, between 12 and 13 years. So he pretty much was one of the portions of being a part of my life. I don't want to say totally raising me, but when I say the family, it was nothing when we were growing up. If you had 5 people in your family, that was considered a small family.
Yeah.
And only child or 2 people, that was rare. And I've told the story a million times, and I'm going to tell it again. I remember when I was a kid, about 10, 11, or 12, one of those ages. And, because I was glued to the TV, I was like, okay, so yeah, I was such a good kid. I never had a babysitter. Man, my aunties and uncles all looked at me like, basically, like, are you out of your blipping mind or whatever? And you know what I said? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? We were watching you when I'm like, oh, y'all family. And I said, oh, y'all family. And I didn't even realize what I was really saying, is that it was family that really took care of you and looked out. Now, obviously, you had your crazy, your onesie or twosie, crazy people, what have you, but why is it such a hard thing? Or I'm sorry, why can't people recognize that if we had this in our lifetime, a generation is 20 or 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. If we had this in our generation, and we saw the breakdown, and we're seeing the collapse of society, how is it with all these facts? Forget the Moynihan Report. Forget the Great Society Act of 1964. You can just even look at a show called Good Times, which I'm sure you two guys know. I distinctly remember a word that is no longer in the lexicon even more being used, and that term was eloping. So before shacking, people still, when the father didn't approve of the dude, or the parents didn't, they would still want to be under this marital construct and be married. So they would elope, basically without their. And we haven't heard. Hell, when was the last time you heard that term?
Exactly. You said that it may have been 20 since I watched Good Times.
Right, exactly. And I'm saying that to say this. It ties into the topic because, to be honest with you, as many, maybe not as much as Leon, but I'm really into psychology also. This term, I never knew that there was a word for it. And the way I understand it is it's something that you're well aware of. And even when the facts are put there, you choose to kind of avoid it in a sense or what have you. You'll be in the community, you'll be in the so-called community talking about, yeah, we need to get up on them who's those outsiders who coming into the community who killed this boy, but ignore completely what happens inside of the community of the children that are, so is that kind of the right word of it? Or, yeah. And this is so rampant in the so-called community. I mean, one reason I'll sometimes this love-hate relationship with social media, I'll go on social media is because I like to kind of test these, test the waters, if you will. See what people, okay, you're saying all this. Can you back this up? Or is it, as the kids saying, just cap? And sadly, man, or brothers and ladies, sadly, most of the stuff that a lot of people believe or say, they not only don't believe it, they don't know. And real talk, especially when it comes to serious issues, they don't care. People don't generally care until something directly affects them.
Yeah.
True.
And when you said, and let me just add this about this whole masculine men thing. One of the reasons we hear all the theories, but it's almost too obvious to not, consider. We grew up on the, first of all, we grew up around the examples around us because we were outside most of the time to watch TV. Okay, you watch you watch TV from 8:30 or 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That was generally TV time, and then maybe the weekend Saturday morning cartoons. But for the most part, you were out. You were outside. But I'm saying that to say this. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forget. Sunday morning or Saturday morning Soul Train, whenever that aired. But you saw men. It's a shame, man. I'm not trying to put down this less hands-on generation, but we literally have a legion of young men, pardon me, not boys, who don't know how to change a tire, who don't know how to jump a car, who it's like, where is the manhood? And I'm not saying manhood is strictly about what you can do physically or your hands. We have parents that have raised boys read at a 5th grade level. Even in the hood, if you sound like an idiot, wow, Leon even dropped off his own stream. If you sound like an idiot,
he said it right.
Right, you would be clowned for sounding like an idiot.
Yeah.
Using words wrong or things like that. Okay, welcome back to your own show.
Hey, I'm new to this, brothers and sisters. So
yeah, make sure to hook up with SKC. He teaches a class on this. But the point I don't want to forget.
Gave me the number, so I'm gonna definitely reach out to him. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, but the one thing I want to say in contrast to that was now we got kids who listen. Your kid reading at a 5th grade level, it's not the school's fault. It is your fault as a damn parent. How dare do you expect your son or daughter to compete and they can barely read? But somehow we let that go past and we think no big deal of it. Then we wonder, well, why can't you? And yes, let me say this also too. I'm all for the entrepreneurial thing and all that. Some people, Big Mag, I'm sure you can relate with this being from New York. Some people do come up with good ideas, but they implement it horribly, or they just got that hustle mindset where some things, no, it can't be a hustle. This isn't a one-time deal like I'm selling you a hot dog. If I'm selling you a product that has support, that has support, or you need some continual assistance on, this can't be a one and done deal. Oh, I don't do that anymore, or what have you, and my simple point is that people now, what they're trying to do is, because they see this one tech billionaire, not tech billionaire, they see this one YouTube millionaire or this one person. Heck, Big Mag, you're a little bit older than me. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm only saying this because you're from New York. You're from New York, if I recall, right?
Yes.
Born and raised, right?
Yes.
Okay, because you're a little bit older than me, you obviously remember the 80s very well. You saw you saw the transition from the from the band era of hip hop to the drum beat boom bap era to the glory days of '88, right?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to get into names because we'll go down a huge rabbit hole if we talk about this. So here's my point: the barrier of entry at one time in hip hop was extremely high, was it not?
Yes, it was.
I mean, like, you just couldn't be rhyming at the end of the word thinking you a rapper. You had to have either some kind of cadence or some kind of enunciation that made you different, or your storytelling.
You had to have a style, an individual style, because if you mocked the style, you were shut down.
Right. Now, look at what happened. And I'm going to tie this into this whole business thing. Look at what happened. Now the barrier of entry is so low. If you don't even have to have a laptop nowadays. You can have your cell phone, and and whatever entities will put out. If it catch a buzz, it catches a buzz. Flash forward, and this is not to say to anyone that everybody back then was talented. I'm making a point in that how it is much easier to get into this now than it was before. But because it was such a barrier of entry, you didn't have as much garbage, as you do now. This is not, I know people get real sensitive about that, but that's the same with these businesses things. Because it's so easy to start a business now, everybody's a CEO. Even though a CEO means you have a board and you're the leader of that board, everybody's a CEO. Everybody has this. What service are you providing? How is it going to help? And I'm just saying, like, no, it's not an easy way out for this. You got to sometimes be in the grind of this. And that's what we've gotten away from. You would have no problem probably going to borough to find something matching that nobody was going to wear. I'm only saying this because Detroit and New York have some similarities that I can, kind of relate to. No different than we wanted to be different, or we knew that we had to earn things, and that's where the work ethic came from. And because we got into this, and I'm almost done here, we got into this, what's the word? Not helicopter parents.
Take your time, brother.
Yeah, but what's this soft generation called? What's this soft generation? I forget what it's called. It's not
like permissive parenting.
Well, no, it's not even that technical. It's basically after kids born after 1984, and this is not all of you.
Millennials.
Yeah, the millennial. Yeah, thank you. But the millennial generation who were raised with, I just thought of it, bubble wrap kids. The bubble wrap kid generation. Yeah, you've never heard that? Yeah, the bubble. I mean, when parents, and by the way, there is something serious that caused parents to look at that. And actually, so that I can go. I didn't learn it here. Everybody remembers John Walsh from America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
But do you remember his son, Ryan Walsh, who got killed, that made him start to become, a crime fighter of sorts? But what happened basically was Ryan Walsh, I forget how old he was. He was either between 5 or 8, and he walked away in a shopping mall, and he was found murdered. And remember, I won't say we used to walk across the street by ourselves, but but that's when everybody in the neighborhood had an eye for each other in a sense. Like, wait a minute, that little boy ain't supposed to be here. I've never seen that little boy, before. Whereas parents became more latchkey parents, and kids kind of lost their independence because nobody wanted to end up like a Ryan Walsh. That story was a national story. Right. And where I learned even more insight on that is that happened down here in South Florida, which I did not know. And I'm like, wow. And I did some research on this. The mall wasn't too far from here. I'm like, I'll be goddamn. That is somewhat believable. So I want to give them a pass in a lot of their lack of being adventurous. Although I will say also, there's a lot of conveniences. I mean, dude, I remember cutting grass. Yeah, back in my day, though I didn't walk to school with 1 foot and all that in the snow, but a power lawnmower, man, that was a luxury. Okay, for those, that was a luxury, man. You know, shit, you damn near there with scissors, but no, it was a manual. You know, the little things, or us making money, we shoveling snow. That was the way to make money.
Yep, we make a killing shoveling snow.
Right now, I go home to my mother's house, and I haven't been up there in years because I'm kind of allergic to snow now. But I'm like, where are the group of kids shoveling snow? You don't see nothing.
Nothing. We would make, man, and yeah, that's right. Well, I think also that the parents, the mentality wasn't to just give all this freaking money to the kids. You know, growing up, we always had 2 pair of shoes in rotation. You had a new pair, and then you had a worn pair. Anything besides that, you were hustle, get on your own. And we're talking 10-year-old kids. We pack bags. We go fishing. I'm right on Jamaica Bay. We go fishing. We dig bait. We dig clams, and we sell clams 2 for a quarter. I mean, there were many ways to make money. We would make impromptu car washes, and the people going by would enjoy stopping to allow the kids to wash the car. They would enjoy that. They would pull over, we wash the car, get them on their way. And so it was ways to make money. And now it's like the more time we're out of the house, the more money we're making, the more we're wasteful with the money. And I think that is, you just don't see that. And I'm going to be honest. Like I have a 5-year-old who's in 1st grade now. So going to school, in the neighborhood.
I'm laughing because I exactly did not want to be you. You see it, your friends' kids who got their kids in school now.
Yeah.
So
salute to that brother, because mine are grown, man. And
yeah, well, that was my ex-wife and her. It's the typical. Listen, I would say if there's an organizational chart of the typical stereotypical modern woman, I don't need a man, you can't tell me shit person, she wouldn't be, if she wasn't the president and CEO. She's on the chart. So when you see the picture chart of the leadership in the board, she's up there. So she
was a client and the president.
Yeah, she's up there. She's up there. So couldn't have children. We married, and she was 41. We got married, so couldn't have children. So we use other routes, and beautiful baby boy. But
congrats.
So,
you got
it was her only child.
Yeah, congrats.
You got a boy at least. Yeah, and I had 2 adults. So now just seeing him, like, even though we can afford to give him all these things, like my mentality is like, he doesn't need, like, you ever get to the space in your life you say, it's too much shit laying around here. Like, that's where I'm at right now. All this stuff doesn't matter what you give them. It's the time, it's the development. And being an experienced parent, I can put much more into it. And I think, again, that's another element. With young people having children, you don't have experienced parents to show you the ropes. And it's a shit.
And I say this as a non-parent. You're exactly right, but I do want to add this though. The difference back in the day when young people had children, or between the 18, 19 to 25, the optimal years to have them, the difference was they had a hell of a support system.
Oh yeah.
Now I literally seen on multiple instances, it's grandma raising these kids. And, I was like, listen, sweetheart, listen, I know I'm not in the position. And I was 42 at the time. I'm like, listen, I know this is out of my thing. Why, for your 20-year-old daughter, are you watching the kid all the time and her, air quotes, husband staying in this house? Now, again, this is somebody who I've known for years, whatever. I'm not dictating, you know what I'm saying? And she was basically, her whole thing was, she doesn't care about what she's just saying shit, whatever. But, she cares about the baby because she knows that the baby is gonna, be impacted more by her daughter's erratic parenting than you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But my thing, I said, okay, if that's the case, look, I'm not the one to tell you what to do. I'm just giving my insight. And I said, first of all, ain't no man. I mean, I can see if it's temporary or look, we waiting on this house and he's a good dude. He gonna be back and he gonna be on his feet 1 or 2 months. And listen, I'm gonna go on a tangent for a second. When I told you I'd be sometimes in these social media groups, it was something that came up about a woman can take care of bills, and if a man doesn't pay no bills, he's about nothing. And I'm like, shut the hell up, you dumbasses or whatever. If any of you short-sighted, goofy, watching the Real Housewives of America, types knew anything, you would know that life has ups and downs. What you're looking for is a person that has resilience, that knows how to ride those waves, because an up and down can happen. And this can happen to the best of people. So I'm trying to be nice with it, right? Anybody can lose their business and be down a bit, right? But can that person get back out there again? And there's like, well, man, it's always prepared. And I'm like, I said, where's your husband to show that? And of course, I'm like, I can't see the previous comments. And I'm like, oh, they blocked me or whatever. So tying this back to what I was saying about the grandmother that I know, her daughter, and she brought in the husband. This dude was never about nothing, okay? Never about nothing. Why his daughter, why they got married, who knows? And since I've had that conversation, it's been 5 or 6 years. And guess where they stayed? They still stayed with her. She's finally selling the house, and it's basically, y'all gonna have to figure out something right now. And the dude has been working sporadically and all this, and it's like, why would you choose this? But I was just simply saying that I think it's horrible when people burden these grandparents with these younger children. Let them be grandparents, where they have the insight and wisdom, to put into these kids, not worrying about feeding the kid and all that every day. I understand you're not a grandparent right now, but you get my situation. And it's just so selfish. We've given these kids, these bubble wrap kids, we gave them bubble wrap, and now we give them adult safety nets. One chick told me, and I'm gonna end on this, yeah, my son can stay on my insurance. I'll even go to the level of marrying my son and stay on my health insurance. I'm like, what? What? When is he gonna get outside? And Mag, Leon, at 25 years old, I was basically 4% body fat, right? 4, 5, no more. This kid is 100 pounds out of shape at 20. And I'm like, this is the type of man you raise? And now you're giving him bubble wrap? He can always stay at the crib. And I'm like, I'm sure he can. He ain't going to eat like this on his own. He don't have the money to do this. I'm just making a point in that.
Well, that's the thing there. The back end insurance on that is that they create the son husband. See,
that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
This generation, they want the son husband. They know that they have a belief that the children will never leave them, and that when they get old, the children will be there for them. And just to say, I'm gonna say this one again. With my ex, she had her brother, 49 years old, still living in the house with the mother. I have a cousin who his mom, they have an estranged relationship. They want these children to stay around because they lived in their decision to not be with anyone. So they say that when I get old, there'll be somebody around to take care of me. And subconsciously, they go through life throwing these damn, what do you call them things you throw out for tires when the police want to stop a car? Them spike strips. They throw
Stinger.
Yeah, they throw these spike strips down for their children all throughout life to keep them close. When you talk to the typical woman these days, they're never moving away from their mother.
And you know what's sad about that is that if you look at any animal species, I watched some of this stuff.
They kick them out.
Yeah, man. I was like, I was watching the squirrel situation. Man, the father ran his damn son squirrel so far away from. It's like, but then 6 months later, next thing you know, that son, he had him a girl squirrel, and they had their own little situation, and they starting their own thing.
There you go.
But we got this. Listen, I get it, man. We're in a globalized economy, which is more reason to spread your wings. But at the same time, as a parent, I would think that you would want. It's like, man, I've raised this to be equipped with the world. I gave them everything that I did not have. And I don't mean just physical things, just the mental fortitude. I remember one time I was talking to my father, and me and my father later on, we didn't have the best relationship, but we had a good relationship. I'm to say this, but he was like, the way I talk to you, I couldn't talk to my father at all. It was do this, do that, do this, do that. And my father, who would be my grandfather, he was like, my father was just concerned about providing because he's a depression kid. So he didn't have things. So his whole thing was, when I have kids, at least they're going to have something. Whereas our parents were like, yo, we do want to have somewhat of a relationship with y'all. Now, the error we Gen Xers made is we not only going to have a relationship with y'all, we going to be y'all friend.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we see the mothers and the daughters and, going to the same club, the father, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. You want the kids, you want the 8-year-old kid to go to Dubai. I know what you're talking about.
Dude.
It's funny with the men out here Celine brings up, and then she's 21 years old. She even has a problem talking to guys in her own age range because they're soft, which I do agree with her, and it connects to something that Big Mac said. A lot of these guys are son husband. I've actually seen that, and you know what? They love their mamas very, very much, and they'll do anything for their mama, even if mama is wrong. And if mama is trying to date, that son husband is going to come in and he's going to try to destroy it by trying to act like he is the man.
I got one more for y'all. So this is when I was living in Minnesota. I was going out with this one chick, and then her son was like one of the most laziest dudes who could have been a decent athlete. Well, by size. Let me say this, by size, because he was uncoordinated as hell. So let me take that back. But one time, we stopped dealing with each other. And one time I'm in the neighborhood, I drive past, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, who's that chick cutting her grass or cutting that grass? I'm like, oh, wow. She had a nice little short, Daisy Duke on doing the yard work. And I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? So I drive up her driveway, and I'm like, what you doing? What you doing cutting your grass or whatever? And her son had to be like 17 or 18 or 16 or 17, whatever. And she was like, oh, I'm like, your son ain't here? Oh, he upstairs. I'm like, shouldn't he be downstairs cutting this grass? Oh, he messed it up or whatever and all this. Wow. And I go inside. She's like, well, go and grab it. I said, look, well, let me help you out or whatever. Right. So I go inside to grab the water. And of course, what he's doing is, if you extend your hands and move your thumbs, you already know what. And looking at the TV, he's doing that. And I'm like, he was like, oh, yeah. He kind of looked at me like, oh God, this guy's back again. Right. And it's like, whatever. So, and so we seeing each other out one time, and she said, oh, whatever his name, I don't want to say his name, whatever his name is graduating now. And I bought him, give me a second. I bought him, I don't know which one is more expensive, so I'm going to say it. I bought him a Denali. And I was like, what? Wow. You what? He said, oh, I forget. You're probably mad because you said your father didn't buy you the car that he promised. And I'm in my head like, goddamn, of all the years that we dealt with, you actually remembered that shit? It just shows you how petty they can be. I'm like, I didn't even connect those dots. I'm like, no. The reason I think that that's an awful choice for a car is that basically you have a son who's an average student. He doesn't do anything around the house. And what has he done to deserve that? But do what the fuck he's supposed to be doing. Pardon me, Leon, my bad. But do the fuck he's supposed to do as far as graduating.
So be straight up. Hey, I got to go on. How do you put the link in there? I done lost the link.
I don't know, but I think I got the link. But so give me a second. I'll give you the here backside, and then you can copy and paste it.
I'm a rookie at this, brother Sir Tice.
No. Hey, you know what I got for my graduation? A dinner.
Hey, I didn't get anything.
So anyway, no. It gets worse. So next thing I know, I hear in the summer, yeah, he tipped it over. So now she's replacing it with an Escalade.
Wow.
Come some years, I seen one of her girls down, and I'm like, Yeah, she said, yeah, you know, your girl, like she ain't my girl. Your girl's a grandmother now. Yeah, she's raising that baby. And I'm like, and y'all see what all this coddling has led to. You know, I mean, how dude even found a female to me is like an impressive feat because he was softer than baby shit. You ain't supposed to say that about kids, but it is what it is. But I'm just simply saying, we love talking all that. We need a new community, or you got to do this. How are you going to do this without men or competent men?
Well, these independent masculine women want soft men.
Because they can control them, you think?
Yes. It furthers their agenda. And the agenda is all about happiness and freedom. Like, for instance, I'm a firm believer in men. When you come of age, you think about legacy. Women think about their individual happiness. If you start to have conversations, which I've started to have, you speak with women, it's all about he makes me happy. What does he do for me? Does he make me happy? Men tend to think about, what about my kids' kids?
Yeah, that's funny. In other words, the long term. Hey, Big Mag, real quick, and I'm going to let the other brother speak. I already know Leon is. Big Mag, were you at one time or are a baseball fan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm sorry about yesterday. Actually, I'm not. But Leon, I already know you're an Orioles fan.
Oh, I'm not a Yankee fan of the Red
No,
Sox.
I'm not a Yankees fan.
Yep.
I'm not a Yankees fan.
You're a Mets fan. You're a Mets
Yankees
fan.
go home and the Red Sox are
Yeah.
going.
Okay, that's what's up. So check this out, and this is ain't long. I'm going to break this down because when we came up, we played everything. I have a theory about the reason why there's less guys in baseball, brothers of for American brothers. Let me say this: than other sports, and it's very simple. Is that when you said about being happy, you get into baseball, you get into a slump. It's gonna mess with your ass mentally and all this, but you overcome that slump. It's gonna make your fortitude is gonna increase. But I think because many people aren't taught to deal with disappointment. I mean, what is it? 3 out of 10 gets you in the Hall of Fame in baseball, but 7 times you failing, and you know, or you're doing something, you know, you're done. You get out. You guys get it. But the point I'm saying is that I think it's even broken down to that. Whereas everything they gotta win at, or they gotta get the participation trophy. Shit, nothing worse than striking out. Or you can recognize, dang, in that scenario, he threw this. And I'm just using a sports analogy to say how we've groomed people to be softer, which that's a word, soft, pardon me. And we've groomed them to be soft. And we're now seeing the repercussions that go into real life. To whereas now tough scenarios or the path of least resistance is tough scenarios are avoided, and the path of least resistance is what's the often easier sought path by many.
Participation trophy.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, shout out to 411 Leon there. Thanks for having everybody on.
Yes, we got 2 new participants with Brother Survivor.
Yeah, I'm Survival. I want to know who was just talking last. I want to give a shout out.
It was Brother Sir Dice.
Do you have your own channel?
I do, but I mostly co-host with Little Big Nate on Sundays. Okay. Or actually not Sundays anymore. Now it's just sporadically. But yeah, I'm usually on Little Big Nate's.
And who is in the corner right above you there?
That's Big Mac. Well, Big Mac can introduce himself.
Yeah, how you doing? Big Mac. He's on.
Yes, shout out. Yeah, shout out. And then right above me is this antisocial socialite. I've really liked to listen to her today. That was really good. And right over to the left, we got Awesome Alice.
Hey, Awesome Alice. I just want to say this. I'm sorry for not speaking to you, Miss Antisocial Socialite. I didn't call you by the errant name. You know, love your channel, and you know she actually likes my stuff on Instagram too. So salute to you. I was just speaking to mostly men, but I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, you guys all had really good points today. Everybody's made really good points, I think. And if you can see my avatar, you know, I'm a white guy, so I don't have a ton of experience with any kind of black culture necessarily. I'm in Washington State, so that's like, you know, way up northwest. So I was looking at Celine's comments there, where she's a young woman and she's struggling to find a partner. and the softness of these boys that we see. So my upbringing, you know, I'm a white guy. I kind of grew up in like a country-ish town. I didn't grow up in the city. And my parents, I had two parents, mom and dad, whole life. I freaking hated them because they disciplined the hell out of me with organized sports and you know, just discipline at home and stuff all the time. And it wasn't until I was about 25, 26 that I realized like I would see a lot of my friends that were the same age as me. What's the word for it? Just floundering around with their life. Maybe they went to community college. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were just off doing some stupid job. But my parents had me so disciplined that I had to go into. I graduated from school. Like you guys said, I didn't get shit because we were kind of poor. It was just expected of me. And then I had to go to construction, right? So I did construction for a long time. So I guess for Celine, there are guys out there in just about every state. You're going to have, even if you're in a blue state, there's going to be some area in that state where you're going to have like tradesmen and, you know, the working man, the working guys, whether you're black or white or Mexican or Asian. You can't just, I think Celine might be looking in the wrong spot or something. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that I see, you know, sorry to jump in like that, but these, like, if we're talking about age appropriate dating, looking to take that further, I think that a lot of men, you have some young men who are on the college trajectory, you know, in college, graduating, going on, moving to careers, and you have those who are doing something constructive now. You know, that young cat working a UPS job, whatever, be it a civil servant, whatever it is. But when they have their head into progression, which is marked by, you know, working a steady job, you know, I don't want to say it's all about just mannerism, but you know, it's background, it's experience. It's not all flash bang. It's not all this glitzy, glamorous, I got it going on thing. Those are typically, like, I think a good crop of the young people doing that are the Pookies and the Ray Rays. You know, it's not about what you got on your back, it's about what you have in the bank or what you're trying to put in the bank. What is that young man talking about with his life's trajectory? Can you see results in his day-to-day paces? Those are the people who are young who start making that phenomenal income in their 30s, and you know, by 40, they, you know, making real big money. Like you always hear these families that build. Some people have a great trajectory when they get out of high school and on the way to college. You know, you got some young man going to law school, doctor, whatever it is. But that person who knows, like you were saying, survival, like everybody says, that they know they're on a path to go somewhere. If they're sitting around, moseying around, if they have more time on that game console than they do out putting in hours at work or doing something to get better, what do you want with that? What are you going to do with that? Whether they have looks, whether they drive a nice car, whatever it is, it's the long game. And I'm a firm believer in, like, I don't necessarily believe in dating just to date. If you're dating, it's for a purpose. If it's dating to have sex, you be about dating to have sex. If it's dating to be about finding a mate, you be about dating to find a mate. Stand your ground and don't be wishy-washy either way about it. Figure out what you want to do when you date that way. And you know, these young men, you'll see them, they're about doing things. They're quiet because most times they're quiet because they see what's out there. You know, I have a 28-year-old son who says that, Dad, if you're waiting on me to get married and have kids, it ain't gonna happen. And I understand him because the amount of available women who have his mindset in his age group are slim pickings. So I just said, son, it may be a needle in a haystack. Just you know, keep moving your hands, and if you get pricked, you get pricked. But I understand where you're coming from because I feel the same thing. But there were good and bad on both sides. You know?
I look at it like this real briefly, Mag, and you made a good point, is that when I was that age, even though I was trying my hand at music, I had a hard time, but I also realized I got to change my surroundings. I'm not getting into all the passport bro stuff, but it's like, where am I hanging? You know, who am I hanging with? Is this the kind of quality of people that I'm going to expect the kind of quality, you know? So I started. That's when I started going into my other interests. Being around those circles. And sometimes we're afraid to, especially when you're young coming up and everything is new. And when you're like 21 and under, you pretty much still have the view of the world from a teenager's perspective because you haven't been out there long enough, where you have the adult responsibilities and burdens and such as an adult. But I was simply saying, though, that sometimes you got to, you change your surroundings. And that's when that's, if there's one thing that I give college credit for, is that because you're around people from different places. But that's inorganic in a sense. It's kind of like it's set up that way. But when you go, how many people have ever seen these guys who go to these problematic ass dudes? They come back from the military, and about 85% of them, you're like, damn, what happened to you?
A total 180, right?
Right. It's like, what the hell happened? And
that kind of goes back to Leon 401's original point when he went through cognitive dissonance, and it's kind of like these guys. I mean, I think all you guys will agree. We all thought we had it figured out when we were 16 years old, and then we all thought we had it figured out a little bit better when we were 21, and we all thought we had it figured out a little bit better after that when we're 25. But like, you put a guy in military and you get him structured up, like that guy will come out and he will be different. He's going to come home with some structure in him, and his peers are going to go, "What the hell happened to you? You got all kinds of structure now."
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of the cognitive dissonance. You think you have things figured out, and people are talking a big game at 16, 21, 25, whatever it may be. Even maybe I might look back at myself now when I'm 60 and be like, man, I was a freaking idiot. It's just, that's kind of, it's growing, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. Leon, do you want to do like the around the horn kind of thing to keep structure with your channel?
Oh yeah,
go around the horn.
Oh yeah, we can definitely go around the horn. Let me take Latin Patriots.
Hey Leon, I got a bail, but thanks. Good chatting you up. I just want to support you.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you for coming up, man. This, like I said, this was the first time doing this, and I'm gonna do
you a
more.
cash app too, so take a look at that. All right.
Thank you, brother. I'm gonna do more of these. I just need a little help. They'll get better as I go along. So,
all right, take care, Alice. Take care. Who's in the middle? Who?
That's survival.
Oh, survival. Okay, so salute survival. Take care, antisocial, my man Big Mag, and of course you, brother Leon. Y'all have a good rest of the week.
You too. And I'll
Yes,
see
sir,
you on
man.
tomorrow. All right, brother.
I wanted to talk about, he brought up a good thing talking about he had to change his surroundings. What we are a product of our surroundings. Okay, we want to be successful. We surround ourselves with successful people. But he was talking about some people, they're just moseying around. I call them still people, still doing the same thing, still ain't got it, still just. They're the people when you leave your town for 5 years. I remember my teacher bringing that up. He said there's going to be people that you're going to run in your life that if you left town for 5 years, they'll still be in the same spot, still messing up, still not doing anything with their life. And those are the wanderers. When Celine talks about the younger guys, I know plenty of younger guys her age that are getting their life structured. Maybe they just don't want to settle down because they're trying to get their base right. Okay, like their foundation. It takes a man a while to get his foundation right. But just because the younger guys, I guess she hasn't ran into an actual, like the country boys that I know, they're brought up to have structure. You're not going to sit around. You're going to go to work. You're going to get yourself together. You're not going to depend on mama. You're going to be men. That she hasn't been around those, which it's near and far, just like good women. If you want to be honest, it's like we have lost the structure of what men and women are. And it's sad when you think about it because the future is our kids. The kids are the future. And if we're not leading them right, we ain't going to have a future at all. That's why I've been like really like I make my kids spend time with grandpa, because it gets grandpa out the house. It gives the boys the connection they need with the men. And what antisocial brought up, how boys are treated different, they're not treated properly. I can totally agree with that, because I noticed it when I was doing the virtual school. Like they did it last year, and what the virtual school did was open the eyes of the parents. We actually got to see what they were doing in the classroom, and it was scary. They exclude the boys. They don't call on the boys at all. They call only on the girls. The way they treat the boys, they don't want them speaking. They only want the girls speaking, and that is not the way it works. And when the boys interact with the girls, they don't separate the groups and make little man groups and little women groups, which that is important in understanding our gender roles. It's just everything's been flipped upside down, and it's not going to change until we change it. Well, that is the sad part.
Well, that is correct, and just like Celine said, and even in her generation, some of these guys up here, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off of Latin Patriots comment. They want the women to replicate their aggressiveness like they are porn stars, and men want the women to chase them. I just see a lot of men out here, in my humble opinion, and I'm 56 years old. If men don't get straight when they're in their 30s, they're going to be in their 50s. And Brother Big Mac can tell me, he can tell me the same thing. They're going to be soft as tissue, because I see a lot of them. And a number of them, and you know Big Mac, they're mama's boys in the 50s. And some of them are up here on YouTube arguing like females. You know what?
Yeah. You know what I want to do? I just want to throw tampons at them and tell them to suck it up.
You know, I'm a firm believer that the younger people are seeing it. I tell you all the time, Leon. I think that our generation, like we may know, like I'm retasked with opening my mouth and saying what it is and show you the perils of the bull crap. I think that, I got to say it. I think that 35 to 45 or that 35 to 50 generation, I don't think there's no change in them. They set in their ways. But the younger people are saying, I don't want that crap. I see what it is. I don't want that. I don't want it. And to hear sisters like that saying, and it's not about, oh, you're saying what I believe you should say. No. So if any of you mama boys listening to that, and any of you wimps and simps who think that women and men agreeing are like some old whatever, taking on to the next road. But men and women are starting to see women don't want their girls and boys growing up in these things that we see today, in these caricatures of people. They don't want them growing up like in self-destructive behavior. And what's your name, sis? The last person who spoke with the flag in the background.
I'm awesome, Alice. You can just call me Alice, man.
Hi, Alice.
We skipped over Socialite too. Socialite didn't get a chance to talk, but yeah, man,
I'm
agreeing with you.
Nate. I dropped the link. Come on up.
Well, yeah, this you're right. This roles and gender and things to do. Like my 5-year-old and my nephew who's 7, I keep them together all the time, and I tell them specifically, no, that's for girls. No, this is for boys. You have to. It's like it's what you have to do, and people just don't see it. I'm gonna be quiet,
dude. Okay, well, I'm gonna put. Hang on. Let's pass it back to antisocial socialite. She didn't get a chance to talk, and then I'll take turn after her. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
we're gonna go around the horn.
Yeah, we can go around the horn because we'll be wrapping it up soon. We're at the 3-hour mark, and I just want to give a shout out to everybody who came, and just looking for Brother Nate to join the panel as well. But yeah, let's go around the horn with this topic.
Yeah, I just want to say, it was so interesting that you put in the comments section because you read my mind about the lemonade stand. We're going back a while now, and I was working in. Well, I still do. There's sometimes I have to visit like a very affluent area, and you see a lot of the yummy mummies, and they're pushing their, expensive strollers. And one day I actually was walking down this very nice residential street, and there were two little kids and they were selling lemonade. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen it before in like real life. I've seen it on TV as something in the States, but I've never seen it here in the UK. And believe I dug in my pocket to find a 50 pence piece to buy some of this lemonade just to give them that motivation. And I said, like, this is something that is, I don't want to call it a luxury, but the time that the parents sat down with the children, they drew the sign and they put the table outside. It's just something that a lot of parents just don't have the time for. And I do believe it's by design. I really agree with what everybody was saying. Shout out to Alice talking about how the structure of the classroom is not really designed for boys to be productive. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, males are just being stripped of everything that develops masculine traits in them, whether it's at school, at home, the media. And somebody was talking about the fast money. Unfortunately, they're selling this concept of fast money to a lot of the youth. For the girls, it's sex work, OnlyFans. We used to be very conservative, but now people are quite liberal in the way they dress. They're very open with being partially naked. So it's not much of a stretch to then post pictures online and start getting down that slippery slope of sex work. For the boys, it's be a rapper, be it some type of musician, or be an athlete. And obviously, that's not a sustainable way of making money. So there's a lot of conditioning going on, and it's a shame, but I do believe it's by design. And like you said, you have to be the change you want to see. You have to help a lot of people coming through promote family like before, because you guys were saying, well, why would you have this family structure? But unfortunately, a lot of that older generation, they sowed a lot of negative seeds in the mind of the next generation coming behind. They made it seem very burdensome. They made it seem very restrictive, and like, oh, all I want for you is to have your education and do all the things I couldn't do. And now we're kind of seeing those chickens coming home to roost, that you don't want to go from one extreme to the other. There's a way to have a happy balance in the 21st century where you can have a career as a woman, be educated, and still take care of your family and make sure that your kids are not being neglected. So you're pursuing your own individual needs. And that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah,
I might
well,
drop down.
that was good. That was really good. You laid it out.
Thank you.
I understand, and you have a great accent. I really like your voice.
And like I said, it's been a real good show tonight, you all. So what we're getting ready to do, get ready to wrap it up. I'm at the 3 hour mark. It's, of course, I'm here in the Eastern time zone. It's 9:22 here. Got to get up and hit work tomorrow. I know over where Antisocial is, it's probably going on 2 o'clock in the morning there, or 3. She's about 5 hours ahead of us, and
yeah, it's coming up to 2:30. I wasn't planning to stay this long. I was literally going to just say what I had to say and come down.
well, I appreciate you for coming by, and I'm gonna
Salute to Nate as well.
A salute to brother Nate. Salute to everybody on the panel. Thank you for coming by. But while you're up, what is your final thoughts on today's show, Anti-Socialist, or tonight's show?
First and foremost, let me congratulate you on your first live stream. It's been very good. We didn't stay on the topic, but we kind of wove it in there. So I'm really happy. The concept of cognitive dissonance, let's come back to that, because that's going to be a good topic. Yeah, we discussed a lot. I know this is very controversial, but I do believe very much in separating, trying to move away from people who are not going to help you. Maybe you'll have to forge your own family in a new place. And that means getting around like-minded people who are going to give you that support so that you can actually focus first on yourself and then on your family if you have, children and things like that. Because these are definitely perilous times, and there's a lot of influences out there that are not trying to help society function in a normal way. So let's help each other to promote those old traditions. And yeah, I really enjoyed the panel. Salute to everybody who came up and everyone in the chat. If you haven't hit the like button or the subscribe, please make sure you do. I just want to say well done to 411 for a great live stream. Thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am. Very well said. And shout out to everybody in the chat and the panel. And I'm going to drop off. Thanks, Leon. We'll see you again.
All right. Thank you, my brother. All right, brother Big Mac.
I don't have too much to say. I totally agree with what I've heard tonight. And I'm not going to reiterate anything, but I do want to say that I feel that a blueprint is being written, and we all need to pay attention, because the healing, the correction is starting to happen with the younger generations. They see it. So now the first thing in recognizing recognizing you're an addict is realizing you have a problem. And I think that's what's going on. I didn't want to run on. We're going on. I just wanted to sit back and hear. I'm going to stay up, but I'm done. That's my final thought. And congratulations, man. Congratulations on your first live stream.
Hey, thank you. And I thank you for coming by, support me. I thank Sweet Chocolate. Great live stream, Tommy Jean Brown. Sweet Chocolate. Yeah, that's good support. And last but not least, Awesome Alice.
You're doing good, man. It's your first time. You're popping your cherry, your live stream cherry. I'm glad to be here with that moment. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, you need to. I think with all the streams that are going on, the more psychological talk we have, and coming together as like-minded people is going to be the key to breaking the cycle on many things. And she antisocial, she is right. We have to find like-minded people, because it is very important so we can keep our structure. When we have other people that are like-minded and can see the common goal, we as people grow. We watch them grow and we grow. And we have to be the ones to set the new trend. The new trendsetters. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you're starting these kind of streams, because I learned a lot. Like, my brain is sparking right now, and just hearing people that are actually thinking is a beautiful thing, man. And I'm so glad you let me come up and invited me.
It's good to have you back, because I asked Nate about you before I even got on Nate's show what happened to you, and you had disappeared. But it's good to see you.
I've had to start homeschool. I went back to work, like a little side job. I've been trying to do my garden. I mean, I stay busy because I'm trying to teach my kid. My son, he's 11. He wanted to be a farmer, so I'm trying to help him see how to grow things. I got to finish my chicken thing. I mean, you have to stay busy. I think that's why I think that's important. She was talking about, parents don't have time to do these things with their kids, but the key to that is time management. Like you should do something on the learning how to manage your time and use your time wisely. That'd be a good one to talk about. Like, have people come up and they talk about how they use their time, and making a list on how to break it down, because people don't talk about that no more, how we use our time, because time is all we have, and once it's gone, there's nothing we can do with it.
Absolutely. And I am going to rehash and I apologize for not getting down, because I really wanted to get into the cognitive dissonance. I will go right back in it. In fact, when I go in and do what I need to this video, change the name, because this was brand new. Wanted to try, because normally if you see my content, I do it on Zoom. It's a little easier, but I had to do this because I've been saying I was going to go live. But after a while, you talk about time management, Awesome Alice. I also want to talk about not being I can't even think of that word.
Stagnating.
Procrastination.
Yeah, to stagnate and procrastinate. Yeah, that's another good topic.
Yeah,
But you do these videos on the mental health, which is, you don't realize, even though you don't have a degree, your understanding of the actual medical words and everything is just it's awesome. Okay, so keep doing that, because I've actually been in the medical field, and to hear someone that is not, and the way you explain it, it's awesome. So keep the good work up. Okay.
Well, you know what actually happened a long time ago. I was going to major in psychology. Found out that it was saturated, so I ended up being a civil engineer, but took psychology courses because I believe no matter where you go, you're going to have to understand the behavior of people. Even if you have your own business, you can't treat everybody the same. You can't have favoritism, but we all have our behavioral issues. And my videos, and like I said, I'm not a licensed mental health professional. I just, I read everything from Healthline and WMD and the DSM-5, because it's very important that for me, and I've been on YouTube for about 5 years, I like to do more than talk about
Mainstream.
mainstream, talk about women all day. My niche is talking about psychological issues, going to the underground world, because the underground's what we're afraid to talk about. And there's one I'm going to be talking about again, straight up, and it starts with the word pedo, because brother Trailer Hood, that video he showed yesterday, he's not up here. That one hit my heart when I saw something in that pedal about what these individuals are doing to these children out here. We got to definitely address that.
Yeah, and it's like people are scared to talk about it, and it shouldn't be a topic not to be scared of. The more, I think they have silenced people into submission, and we've got to break that cycle of submission, because that's another mental boundary. If you think about it, we when they silence us and they censor us, it's like they're trying to mess with our psyche, like our heads. Like, we're going to silence you until you bow. But we have to say, well, why would they silence us is the question. Okay? Why would they want to silence this? It's because they do not want people waking up. But yeah, keep making some streams like this, and I think the more you talk about the issues nobody wants to talk about, the more we'll listen.
And I appreciate it. And by the way, something for everybody in the audience who comes up regularly, I'm going to be wrenching you all up, because now I'm going to tell you something. When you're trying to run a panel by yourself and there's no wrenches, now understand the difficulty. So I'm going to be wrenching everybody up, because everybody
you get it. You get it, man. I've got belief in you. You got this. You're never too old to learn something.
You're right about
You're
that.
never too old.
You're right about that. But
again, I'm gonna go ahead and drop down. But yeah, keep the good work up. Keep talking about the subject nobody wants to talk about, and before you know it, everybody will be listening.
And I appreciate that, awesome, Allison. You keep doing well on your channel too. And I'm a sub.
Well, mine's just like a video log thing. I ain't figured out how to go live. Maybe one day I will.
Well, it took me a while. I mean, but I'm gonna still also do my regular pre-recorded videos as well. Yeah. So, and I like I said, I appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody who came up on the panel. Thank you for all your help, and it's going to get better. And I just want to say we got to separate, and believe it or not, be with like-minded people. And at the end of the day, you only live one time, and it's good to always have these conversations. Yeah, anybody that wants to come, I know Big Mac asked me to drop the link again. I just dropped the link. You want to come on back up, Big Mac? Come on back up. But let me finish my monologue here. let me tell you something. Psychology is a good field. Um, I used to look at it as a woman's field. I backed off that thinking because I do like to study behavior as industrial psychology, or we call it organizational behavior. And now, if you're familiar with the organizational leadership type degree, that's in that degree. But cognitive dissonance, it's a big one, and I am going to touch on that. I actually got the notes all ready for that, and I'm gonna bring that to the forefront when we go live with it, because that is a big one, because we need to understand what cognitive dissonance is. Everybody has had it at one time. I'm gonna be transparent. Even I've had it. It's not now. There's a difference between cognitive dissonance and contradiction. Now, when you contradict yourself, it's almost like you're canceling your issues out. You know, if you have one and you subtract one, you get zero. That's what contradiction is. You say one thing, but you do the other. Cognitive dissonance, for you all who don't understand, is basically when you have a belief in two views that are conflicting. They conflict each other. Okay. Conflicting views. And that is a problem, because that's when you get straw man arguments. And something to tell you all, when it comes to being right, let me tell you something. You got to be human. We're not right all the time. Um, Going to the part when we talk about numbers. And as a civil engineer, I'm big with numbers. Even the numbers that I research and the statistics that I do and the calculus that I've done in the past, that's got me a finite number, but that number wasn't always accurate. When you round up a number, it doesn't mean that it's a correct number. You just rounded it up or rounded it down. I know too many of us, when we deal with numbers, we quote statistics. Well, you need to find out the trend. And remember something about statistics. You can always skew statistics. I believe statistics should be done on a 5-year increment. Brother Sir Tice, shout out to him and shout out to Brother Big Nate. Uh, Brother Sir Tice brought up a chart on the Little Big Nate show. Again, shout out to Little Big Nate. Go to his channel. Be right on over there tomorrow. Go to Brother Trailer Hood's channel. Go to Awesome Alice's channel. Go to Socialite channel. These are all good people. Big Mag, wait for you to get a channel up as well. But in the end, going back to the numbers, got to be careful when you're quoting numbers, because I can put out any number to prove my argument right. But if I don't know what that number means or how to interpret data, then I'm just wasting my time. Because when I put out information, it doesn't mean I'm right. And it doesn't mean that your sources are always right. Too many of us don't look into the sources. Yes, the CDC is out there. Yes, blackdemographics.com is out there. The Heritage Foundation is out there. We can all find information to basically prove our argument. But if you don't look at everything as a whole, you won't prove anything, because all you're doing is proving half of the argument. It's like statics. And the way I did statics in engineering, took the problem and broke it down into components, solved each component, and then added up all the components, and I got the whole system. Why? Because I had the correct information and I tested out the information. So in the long run, we all want to be right, but we all aren't going to be right. We're going to be wrong sometimes. And it takes an adult to admit that they're wrong. I mean, I took a test, and I know I was wrong, and didn't do so well on it today. But you know what? Manned up and said, "Well, okay, it is what it is." Thought I knew the material. I got to sharpen up my skills. Remember, iron sharpens iron. Everybody knows that. But again, when it comes to having a discussion, and here's what I want on my panel. Um, I don't like the drama. That's what I won't have on my panel. This is going to be grown folks radio right here on a 401 Talk Zone radio show because I want to educate people. I'm not here to talk about women all day. That's not what I'm going to do. But before I go, let me get back on this red pill, okay? Because there's still a number of individuals who don't understand the content of red pill. And this is a perfect place for me to basically discuss what red pill is. Okay. Going back to 1999, there was the movie The Matrix. Now, The Matrix featured two pills. It featured the red pill, and it featured the blue pill. Now, most of us, believe it or not, particularly in the black sector, when it comes to black men, most black men are not red pill. They may hide under red pill. They're blue pill. Why do I say that they're blue pill? Because many of them react emotionally, just like women. They're not women, but they react emotionally. They don't understand that if you are going to have a woman in your life, you have to get yourself together first. If you're going to put her first, that here's what's going to happen. And a number of us men do that. Well, in the end, you're not going to enjoy your life because you are not fulfilling your obligations as a man. And I always believe that men should be leading. Let me say that again. There's a difference between leading. Men should be leading. They shouldn't be slave drivers. They shouldn't be simps. But men are the ones who teach and enforce discipline. That's what a man's job is. And a woman is supposed to be the support. If she supports what he does, because she's going to be the eyes, she's going to see something that he doesn't. A good leader also listens. A good leader also reminds himself that he's not perfect. He's going to be wrong. And, that's one show I want to do as well. Talk about how do you react when you're wrong? Do you really know your own flaws? I mean, I know my own flaws. Sometimes I get impatient, and I'm just keeping it transparent. I get impatient. Sometimes because I was in the military for 17 years, I sometimes run things like a drill sergeant because that military is in me. I did 17 years. The military was good for me, but sometimes it's not good for people around you. Got to understand that. Even though I benefit from something, when you have a family, that's your prodigy, your blood. And what we have to teach as men, we got to teach children about the real world. College is not going to teach children about the real world. Social media is not going to teach you about the real world. Religion is not going to teach you about the real world. A corporate job is not going to teach you about the real world. So it's left to the man. And black men, let me tell you this. We're not monolithic. And one of the reasons why we are behind the eight balls, we don't know how to disagree with each other. We become very violent toward one another. We do a lot of name calling, yelling and screaming. Listen, we are all of us are going to see something different. I know when I get up on Brother Nate's panel, they've pushed back on me a few times. I didn't get upset, but one thing that I did do, I listened, because there's always going to be something that they present that I didn't present, and vice versa. It's about learning. You don't need a college to educate one another. You just need to listen to one another, because in the long run, regardless, this is still a man's world. And that's right, Brother Trailer Hood. Some of the best lessons are taught when you fail. That is exactly right. Has anybody ever heard this? That it's the A students who are working for the C students? That's correct. You know why? Because, see, the A students, they all learn the theory, but the A students also learn how to be good employees. But it's the C students who didn't have to run around and know everything. They knew bits and pieces, but they got into management. You look at people like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, politically, they're lefties. Look at Jeff Bezos. All these individuals didn't go to college, but they're billionaires. So, what I'm getting to you at the end of the day is this: as a man, as a woman, be an adult. Know that you are accountable for all of your actions. Because one thing that I believe in, if you want my vote, if you want me to trust you, I want to know if you can admit when you're wrong. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to leave you with this: be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and the sun sets in the west. And once again, on this live stream, for all you individuals who want to thumb it down, this was my first live stream. But what I talked about today, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, just change it. And again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Now, if you cannot find me on YouTube, you can always look for me on Twitter, MeWe, and of course, Parler. And if you're looking for some science, technology, engineering, and math, check out my other channel. Now, nobody knows about that STEM channel, but it's out there. The Mind of STEM channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And I do also, every once in a while, and I'll bring that back up, Blog Talk Radio. I'm still one of the ones who loves Blog Talk Radio. Haven't done it in a while. 215-383-5785 is the number to Blog Talk Radio. And again, if you can't find me on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, simply check me out on Twitter, MeWe, and Parler. And once again, thank you all for listening and participating on a live. And this is my first live from the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.